What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories.
7LS. Chapter 151. Rayleigh v Akainu. Rayleigh's speed was as fast as teleportation, and everyone didn't see clearly. He had already appeared behind Magellan, but Magellan stayed in place, and slowly a line of blood began to appear on his neck. Nguyen closed his eyes and fell behind. Boom. Rayleigh came to him in an instant before he finished his big move, and wiped his neck with a knife. Magellan didn't even react. Don't stand still, Luffy, we don't have time to go up. Rayleigh looked at Luffy and others who were standing still, and hurriedly urged. Oh, come right away. After regaining his senses, Luffy took his crew and followed Rayleigh to the stairs. Worthy of being the vice captain of One Piece, he's really unbelievably strong. That's right, he is as strong as a monster. Magellan, who makes us helpless, is no match for him. The prisoners around were still stunned and sighed, and a clever prisoner shouted directly, Stop sighing here, Magellan has fallen, why don't you run and wait for Marine support to come and take you back? Nega, duck, get out of Impel down. Ho 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 ho. Rayleigh turned his head and glanced at the sea of people behind him. He didn't know whether it was good or bad to release these people. After thinking about it for a while, there was no solution. He didn't care. He rushed up with Luffy and others, hoping that Marine support hadn't arrived yet. Bar. On the 5.5th floor of Newcama Land, Uchiha Itachi, who was enjoying delicious food, suddenly stopped chopsticks and closed his eyes, and opened them again after a while. Uchiha Madara asked directly, Master Moran sent a message in. Uchiha Itachi said with a blank expression, Master Moran has sent news that Blackbeard has arrived near Impel Down. Hearing this, Uchiha stood up and said, Let's go straight to Blackbeard, kill him and let's get out of here. Uchiha Itachi originally wanted to prevent Uchiha Madara from looking for someone, because Moran said that Blackbeard would go to the 6th floor to take over the group of prisoners, and he could just go there and wait, but seeing the impatient Uchiha Madara, he just kept his mouth shut and followed up. At this time, the two people in the monitoring room watched the monitoring with trepidation. They had already contacted Naval Headquarters for support, but it seemed that it was too late now. The prisoner had already rushed out of the 5th floor, but Director Magellan was nowhere to be seen. Boo boo, boo boo. What? At this time, the phone bug rang suddenly, startling the two of them, picked up the phone bug to answer, and thought to himself, I hope it is good news. Moshi, this is the Impel Down monitoring room. I'm Sakazuki, and I'm already landing in Impel Down. What's the situation inside your Impel Down? Asked Akainu's voice from the phone bug. Report Akainu Admiral, the 5th floor of Impel Down has fallen. Director Magellan went to the 5th floor to stop the prisoner from running out, and the prisoner has now rushed out of the 5th floor. Director Magellan has disappeared. Blah blah reports a bunch of. Akainu, who was half heard, suddenly interjected and asked, Stop. Where is Shiryu of the Rain? Where did he go? He had heard about Magellan and Hannibals' defeat for so long, but as Impel Down, one of the two aces, Shiryu of the Rain, did not mention a word. The prison scene in the monitoring room can only answer truthfully. The warden Shiryu often kills prisoners randomly, so Director Magellan locked him up. Hearing this, Akainu burst into anger, and roared, It's still fighting in the nest at this time, go and release Shiryu of the Rain for me right away, and let him help suppress the prisoners. It's Akainu Admiral. In the monitoring room where the phone was hung up, there was silence. After a while, one of the prison scenes said, I'll go and release Chief Warden Shiryu, and you go and turn on the switch of the elevator. They turned off the power of the elevator, just to prevent the prisoners on the 5th floor from running up by the elevator, but now that the prisoners have already run up, it doesn't matter whether the power is off or not. He wants to take the elevator directly to the 6th floor. If you go up the stairs, you might run into prisoners running up, and the stairs are too slow. By the time he gets to the 6th floor, the daylilies will probably be cold. It didn't take long for Prison View to take the elevator to the 6th floor, walk through the cells, and turn a deaf ear to the prisoners' teasing and cursing. He just wants to complete the task now. Ask for a subscription, ask for flowers, ask for a monthly pass. However, before Prison King could finish his sentence, he was kicked out by Shiryu Yuji and hit the cell next door. The railings made of seastone were bent, and Prison Scene fell limply. The bleeding from the 7 orifices is probably hopeless. Report to Warden Shiryu, the 5th floor of Impel Down has fallen, and Director Magellan is missing now. It was Akainu Admiral who asked me to release you. Prison Scene said all the important things in one breath, while speaking, he opened the cell and released Shiryu of the Rain. Isn't that Shiryu of the Rain? Why did he escape? 480. Shiryu Warden, let's go to the first. Boom. Boom. The two have a clear division of labor, one to turn on the switch of the elevator, and the other to release Shiryu of the Rain on the 6th floor. What's going on? Why are there so many things happening in Eternal Hell these days? At this time, Rayleigh brought Luffy and others to the 2nd level of Warcraft Hell. Suddenly, a red light flashed in Rayleigh's eyes, and his face gradually darkened. The air waves generated by the collision spread in all directions in circles. The ground under their feet, unable to withstand the aftermath of the collision, left one after another like spider webs, and quickly spread to the surrounding walls. Sure enough, a group of Marines appeared not far from them, led by Akainu to intercept them at the stairs leading to the 1st floor. Shiryu of the Rain didn't care about the messy eternal hell behind him, but went out directly, went to the elevator door, opened the elevator and walked in. He was going to get his knife back, other things will be decided later. Boom. Rumbling. Finally he came to the cell where Shiryu Yuji was being held. Shiryu Yuji looked at the prison scene in front of him and asked, "What are you doing here? Where is Magellan?" The two walked faster and faster, and ran directly behind, rushing towards each other quickly, and their fists and knives finally collided together. Lava came out of Akainu's arm, and it dripped on the ground. Step by step, he walked towards Rayleigh and asked, "Rayleigh, what is the purpose of attacking Impel down, you old fellow?" Rayleigh pulled out the knife in his hand and walked towards Akainu, and said with a blank face, "Why'd I come here, don't you Marines already know?" Chapter 152, continued by Rayleigh v Akainu. Touch. 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 Rayleigh and Akainu fought at the stairs. Every time they collided in this narrow space, the aftermath of an earthquake spread the cobwebs all over the surrounding area, and the airwaves generated by the collision flew around with magma sword energy. Bump. There was another collision, and both of them were sent flying backwards by the aftermath of the collision. Rayleigh landed steadily with a backflip, and Akainu followed suit and landed steadily with a backflip. Click. Click. The two stopped, but there was a crackling sound from the surrounding walls. Seeing that there were more and more cracks in the wall, which might collapse at any time, the people watching the excitement all panicked. Not good. This place is going to collapse. Get back quickly, or you will all be buried alive. The prisoners in the aisle can still back up, but the prisoners in the cell can only look at the walls with more and more cracks in despair. Rayleigh looked at Akainu who was rushing towards him again, and cursed inwardly, "It's really a mad dog. If you keep beating like this, not only the cell here will collapse, but the entire second floor will collapse." Dark Hound. Akainu came to Rayleigh in an instant, his lava arm punched Rayleigh's head fiercely. Rayleigh only had time to block the hammering fist with the knife in front of him. Boom. Rumbling. Rayleigh was thrown upside down by the fist hammer, smashed into a cell, and directly smashed through the cell. The cell, which was already crumbling, collapsed directly, kicked up a cloud of dust, and was directly buried in the ruins. Bump. Cough. Cough cough. Rayleigh rushed out of the ruins and stood not far from Akainu, coughing continuously. He was not injured or anything, but choked by the dust that was raised. Rayleigh has already been exhausted by Magellan, and he is not too young. Although his strength has not declined much, his physical endurance is not as good as before. It is not obvious that he can win a quick battle, but he will suffer in a protracted battle. What? At this time, the Straw Hat Pirates also followed a group of prisoners back for a distance, away from the battlefield of Rayleigh and the two. Seeing Rayleigh being beaten into the air, Nami looked at Luffy with a face full of despair and asked, "Uncle Rayleigh seems to be unable to defeat the Admiral of Headquarters, what should we do with Luffy?" Hearing this, Jinbei explained, "CBBB," before Luffy could speak. It's not that Rayleigh can't beat Admiral of Headquarters, but he used up too much energy to fight Magellan before, and he's getting older, so it's a bit I'm exhausted. Luffy squeezed his fists and said directly, "If Uncle Rayleigh can't beat him, I'll just beat him into the air. I'll definitely take you all out, don't worry." Everyone rolled their eyes in unison, they couldn't understand, who gave Luffy the confidence to threaten to fly the Admiral of Headquarters. Great eruption. Akainu didn't give Rayleigh any time to rest, soaring into the sky and swooping over in an instant, with his huge magmatic arm, he swooped down and hit Rayleigh with a punch. Boom. Rumbling. Rayleigh dodged in embarrassment with a donkey rolling, the huge magma arm hit the ground, and was kicked out of a huge deep pit where the magma rolled. Rayleigh turned his head and took a look, and the cold sweat flowed down. If he was hit, he would not die. Akainu stood in the deep pit with magma under his feet, and said with a serious face, "You evil pirates should all go to hell." Rayleigh waved the knife in his hand, pretending to be relaxed and said, "If you can do it, just come and try. This guy probably won't let them leave easily. If it were the other two admirals, they wouldn't fight him so desperately, but this Akainu is a bit difficult to deal with. Stop talking nonsense, just stay here for me today. Shave. Boom. After Akainu finished speaking, he swooped up again, and was trampled out of a big pit. The magma in the deep pit splashed everywhere, and in an instant he came to Rayleigh and swooped down, clenching the magma fist and hammering on Futura's head. Rayleigh would not go head to head with an explosive ability user like him, so he quickly staggered a small position, circled behind Akainu in an instant, and slashed down fiercely with his knife. Wow. A huge gash appeared on Akainu's back from shoulder to waist, but Rayleigh was not happy because the gash was full of magma instead of blood. After Rayleigh quickly backed away for a distance, he said with emotion, "You Logia-capable users are really pervert." Akainu turned around and looked at Rayleigh without saying a word with a solemn expression. After the gash on his back was completely healed, he said, "You old fellows from the old times don't seem so simple." He is actually not as relaxed as it looks on the surface, because he dodged Rayleigh's knife with his ability, but Rayleigh's haki caused damage in his body. Does the high-level armed color ignore defense? Akainu thought secretly in his heart. The two of them stared at each other 10 meters apart, but neither of them was attacking. Rayleigh was not in a hurry to go out. Anyway, the Marine support had already arrived, so it was useless for him to be anxious now. At this time, Blackbeard was wearing the clothes of a Marine soldier, hiding behind a group of Marine soldiers. Slowly, a cloud of black smoke came out of him, enveloping him. When the smoke disappeared, Blackbeard was no longer there. But no one found that Blackbeard really had the ability to secretly hide on Akainu's warship without being discovered. Blackbeard used his ability to pass through the crowd, and walked directly down the stairs to the next floor. No one noticed anything unusual, but at this time, Uchiha and the two were riding the elevator up. One took the stairs and the other took the elevator and successfully missed it. Da da da. Da da da. Why is it quiet? Have they finished fighting? It's fine if you can't see it yourself, you ask me. Who should I ask? Just when the two sides were in full swing, and could be on the verge of firing at any moment, there was a sound of footsteps coming from the corner at the end of the corridor, and it sounded like two people were coming and talking. The two of Uchiha came out from the corridor at the corner, and saw that when they came here 2 days ago, the corridor was surrounded by cells, but at this time the cells had collapsed and turned into a vast space. Seeing these two people, Akainu asked with a dark face, Uchiha Itachi and Uchiha Madara of Wanjian Pirates, why are you two here? What is the difference between your pirates coming to Impel down? Uchiha Madara just glanced at Akainu, turned his head with disdain, looked at Rayleigh and asked, Rayleigh, have you seen Shichibukai Blackbeard teach? Chapter 153. Moran splits the gate of Impel down. Rayleigh turned his head blankly when he heard this, looked at Uchiha Madara and said, I haven't seen the Blackbeard teach you mentioned. Ace was caught by him, did that guy also come to Impel down? Rayleigh thought secretly in his heart. You two bastards, who do you look down on? Akainu saw that Uchiha Madara didn't even want to talk to him, so he couldn't bear his violent temper immediately, and yelled directly. Great eruption. Akainu swooped down directly, and in an instant came in front of Uchiha and the two of them. With a huge magmatic arm, he swooped down and smashed Uchiha Madara with one punch. Uchiha bounce. A round fan suddenly appeared in Uchiha Madara's hand in front of him. Akainu's huge magma fist hit the fan, but there was no wave at all. His magma was being absorbed by the fan. Solution time. Boom. Boom. The Tuonfan blasted the absorbed magma back on the dazed Akainu, and was sent flying upside down and smashed into the ruins, kicking up a cloud of dust. A-hole. Akainu's roar came from the dust. When the dust cleared, the onlooker pirates finally saw Akainu's appearance clearly, because he swooped over just now, and Akainu, who was in a daze, had no time to dodge or elementalize, so his head the first to bear the brunt of the magma was the bald head, and the face was also burned. A lava fruit ability user was actually burned by his own ability. The more Akainu thought about it, the more he became furious. This is a shame. Puff. Ha 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 hiccup. Seeing Akainu's distressed appearance, the prisoners around couldn't bear it anymore, and they all held their stomachs and burst out laughing. You're actually burned like this by your own ability, because you should go home and take the child. A prisoner who stopped laughing yelled and mocked. But who are these two guys? Snapped. The prisoner who asked this question was slapped by the person next to him and said, You idiot, have you forgotten how we got out? The person who was beaten suddenly exclaimed in surprise, Could it be that they let us out, those two adults? When the people around heard the prisoner's exclamation, they all looked over one after another, and they all looked at the Uchiha and the two with grateful faces. You bunch of rubbish bastards, go to hell with me. How could Akainu, who has a bad temper, stand this kind of ridicule? After roaring angrily, magma burst out of his body and spread in all directions. Not good. Run away. Seeing the magma slapping towards them like a wave, a group of prisoners lost their composure and retreated one after another. Those who ran slowly were swallowed up by the magma and burned to ashes. Everyone cursed secretly in their hearts. Let UFK him to stimulate him, you have no ability to talk so much nonsense, now you will be punished. It's not good. The magma is spreading towards us. Akainu Admiral's ability does not distinguish between friend and foe, we will die when we touch the magma. The naval headquarters soldiers behind Akainu were talking about the spreading magma, and the panicked soldiers ran around in the corridor. A Marine Rear Admiral looked at the messy soldiers and shouted, All retreat to the top of the stairs, don't get confused, don't panic and retreat to the stairs. It's Bell Saw Rear Admiral. With Bell Saw's young army leading the way, the Marine soldiers followed Rear Admiral's footsteps and retreated up the stairs as if they had found their backbone. Uchiha Itachi watched the magma shoot over, turned around and said, Madara, let's go too, our task is not for him so don't waste time, otherwise we will be in trouble if Blackbeard runs away. Itachi, if you dare to order me again next time, I will kill you. Uchiha Madara warned Uchiha Itachi with an ugly face. Whoa whoa whoa, but Uchiha Itachi just glanced at him, and then turned into a flock of crows and flew away, ignoring him. Uchiha Madara was furious, but there was nothing he could do, because Moran said that the people on the boat could only compete and not come to the real world. Yes, seeing that the threat doesn't work, Uchiha Madara can only follow Uchiha Itachi's footsteps and go to Blackbeard teach. Rayleigh watched Uchiha and the two running down again, looked at the corridor full of magma, and said directly to Luffy and the others, Let's go to the next floor first, and when those two guys come out, we will follow him just go out. Luffy said anxiously, but Rayleigh, Ace, he will be publicly executed soon. Rayleigh looked at the anxious Luffy and persuaded, It's okay Luffy, there are still 2 days before the public execution, we still have time to get there, don't worry. Sanji looked at the magma that was still spreading, and persuaded him, If Luffy wants to save Ace, you must be alive first. If you die, what will you do to save others? Luffy reluctantly agreed. Okay. Rayleigh also started to take Luffy and others down to the 3rd floor of Starvation Hell. He wanted to go out behind Uchiha and the others. It was a bit difficult for him to fight Akainu alone. In Impel Down, it is very difficult to fight against him. At this time, the warship Moran was sitting on was slowly approaching Impel Down, and he just suddenly thought of a very brilliant idea, which needs to be blocked here to complete, and by the way, all the warships around Impel Down should be sunk to prevent Blackbeard from running away again. Because it was the morning and the sea was foggy, Moran's warship was only 100 meters away from Impel Down, and the prison scene on the first floor of Impel Down found their warship. A jailscape stood on the city wall, holding a loudspeaker, and asked loudly, "Which marine branch are you from? What's the matter with Impel Down?" Moran didn't speak, but jumped onto the bow of the boat and appeared in his hand, covered with two-colored hockey. Hockey raised it above his head, and swung the knife fiercely towards the gate. Slashing immortals with one sword. A huge 2.3 slash of tens of meters swiftly slashed towards the gate of Impel Down, and the sea was split into two on the way, as if nothing could stop this slash. Hey, it's not good. This level of slashing will split the gate of Impel Down. If you stay here, you will die. Run away. The prison scene on the city wall saw the huge slash coming, and they all ran away from the city wall, and at this time the slash also came to the gate of the city wall and passed by in a flash. Boom, 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 rumbling. The city wall of Impel Down was directly divided into two from the middle with the iron gate. The slashing did not stop but passed through the city wall, and then continued to attack the first layer of Impel Down until the first layer of Impel Down was split. Halfway through, the new regiment stopped weakly and dissipated. Chapter 154. Moran blocks the Impel Down exit and waits for a rabbit. Selena Gomez posts powerful bikini then and now. More. 739. 185. 246. The prison scenes that survived on the city wall all stared wide-eyed and opened their mouths wide at this time, looking at the city wall that was divided into two with a dumbfounded look, unable to recover for a long time. The city walls and gates have been split open. How can there be such a scary guy? Who are they? The group of prison scenes all sat slumped on the ground, their eyes were lifeless as if they had lost their souls, and they forgot to resist, so they asked with trembling mouths. However, no one could answer them, and they couldn't see clearly who Milan and the others were. Moran didn't care about the prison scene on the city wall, but turned around to look at the people on the deck, and ordered, "Let's go and sink all the warships around Impel Down, and leave no one except our warship." Listen, do you understand? Understood the captain. Then act separately and complete the task in the fastest time. It's the captain. After Moran finished speaking, his body turned into lightning, soaring into the sky and instantly came to the top of a warship. Boom. Rumbling. The warship was directly cut in two, and the shells inside exploded loudly, shattering the warship into pieces, and quickly sank to the bottom of the sea. Boom. Rumble. Boom. Rumbling. Others have already begun to wreak havoc. Moran glanced at the warships on his side, and there were only 20 warships around Impel Down. Up. As soon as Moran landed on the deck, the tornado rushed up and hung around his neck and asked, "Moran's warship has been sunk to the bottom of the sea, what shall we do next?" Moran came to the deck chair without saying a word and lay down again. Tornado sat on Moran's stomach and kept rolling his eyes, speechless. "Why did you lie down again? Didn't you just say you had a good idea?" Several other people also looked at Moran, waiting for his next words. Just now Moran suddenly jumped up and said that he had a good idea, so they approached Impel Down excitedly. Now that Moran lay down again, they couldn't think about it. Moran looked at the tornado sitting on his stomach and shaking his shoulders, he could only helplessly explain. "The good idea I said is to wait for them to come out here, then catch Akainu, and go to Naval Headquarters War. Now you just need to wait here, don't shake the tornado." When Tornado got the answer, he didn't bother Moran, he just lay on his stomach to rest, and the others also found a place to sit down, waiting for the people in Impel Down to come out. At this time, Blackbeard finally came to the 6th floor of Eternal Hell, with Shiryu of the Rain by his side, and somehow these two hooked up. "We haven't found the key to Captain Teach's 6th floor. How can we unlock their handcuffs later? They are all made of sea stone. You can't open them with brute force unless you cut off their hands." Walking behind asked Shiryu of the Rain. "Thief, ha 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 ha." Blackbeard said indifferently. "Don't worry Shiryu, didn't we find the key to the cell? Just take them out, isn't it easy to open a handcuff outside?" Uchiha and the others didn't steal the key of the prison, they just stole all the handcuff keys on the 5th 6th floor. They just prevented the prisoners in Impel Down from killing Blackbeard. After all, the prisoners on the 6th floor the strength is not weak. "Hey, you see someone came in again. I don't know who it is this time." "That's Shiryu of the Rain, who else do you know?" "Do not know. Thief, ha 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 ha. No need to guess, everyone. Let me introduce myself first. I am Marshal D. Teach, the captain of the Blackbeard pirates. Release it." I do, let me out. I am willing to, let me out quickly." All the pirates in the Eternal Hell on the 6th floor boiled instantly, shouting and asking Blackbeard to release them. Seeing so many people, Blackbeard was having a hard time, and he didn't know which one to choose. Next to him, Shiryu suggested, "Captain Teach, just release them all and let them fight a battle. Only those who survive are eligible to join us." Boat. Blackbeard's eyes lit up when he heard this, and he said excitedly, "It's true that Shiryu let you on my boat, we are all the same kind of people." Thief, ha 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 ha. Facing the menacing prisoner, Blackbeard raised his black smoky hand, no jow, and directly grabbed the stepped foot. "We've all come out. Although I'm still wearing seastone handcuffs, I'm not an ability user, so my strength won't be affected." A prisoner walked up to Blackbeard step by step and asked, "That's not what you said just now. Are you B********** D trying to make us kill each other?" The foot that the prisoner stepped on was firmly grasped, and he couldn't move even with all his strength, and he shouted with cold sweat on his forehead, "You B********* D, let me go. You're so weak that you don't deserve to be my crew member." Blackbeard threw the prisoner around a few times before hitting the ground hard. Single quote dot. "Because there are too many of you, and I don't need so many people, so you just fight one game, and whoever stands at the end can follow me out of Impel down." Quote. Boom. Rumbling. Thief ha 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 ha. Ask for a subscription. Ask for flowers. Ask for monthly tickets. Iron Foot Tiger pounce. Then the two released all the prisoners in Eternal Hell, except for a few monsters. Blackbeard did not release the two strong men, Bullet and the Red Earl, because they could not control these two strong men. Blackbeard's expression gradually turned dangerous, and he asked, "Why, do you have any opinions? So you can die for lousy." The prisoner shot straight up into the sky, his feet quickly covered Hawkeye, and he came to Blackbeard in an instant, and stomped down fiercely with one foot. The speed was so fast that he turned into a tiger and rushed towards Blackbeard. A deep hole was smashed out in front of Blackbeard. The prisoner lying in the deep hole was bleeding from all 7 orifices, his whole body was convulsed, and he was exhaling too much and not breathing in. The prisoner who wanted to rush up after seeing this scene. He stopped in his tracks and looked at Blackbeard with a serious face. Bump. Those who can be imprisoned on the 6th floor are not simple characters, but this kind of characters are not the enemies of Blackbeard in front of them, which makes them all put away their contempt. Chapter 155, Shiryu who was almost trampled to death by Madara. Any one of you who refuses to accept lousy, just stand up. Blackbeard glanced at a group of prisoners after he finished speaking, and the group of prisoners subconsciously took a step back, avoiding their eyes to meet Blackbeard's gaze. Thief ha 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 ha. Seeing that no one stood up, Blackbeard said with a smile, "Don't worry, I'm here to find the crew, not to kill people. Since no one has any objections, then you can start." Bump, bump, bump. As soon as Blackbeard finished speaking, someone directly started to beat the people around him into the air. Although they were all handcuffed, this group of guys all had good physical skills. While the prisoners on the 6th floor were desperately trying to kill each other, Blackbeard came to the two innermost cells and asked, "Do you two want to board my boat?" Both people in the darkness raised their heads, glanced at Blackbeard and said to the Red Earl, "I won't get on someone else's boat, so you don't need to waste your time." Bullet also chuckled. "You are not qualified to be my captain, you want me on your ship, unless you can defeat me." Thief ha 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 ha. "Since you don't want to, forget it, I'm just asking casually." Wait. Blackbeard was about to walk back after finishing speaking, but was stopped by Bullet halfway. Blackbeard turned around and looked at Bullet, waiting for his next words. Bullet said without any nonsense, "Although I won't get on your boat, if you let me out, I promise to help you with one thing after I get out." Blackbeard thought for a while, and instead of looking directly at the Red Earl, he asked, "What do you say, monster? Should you stay here until you die or go out for a stroll?" The Red Earl was silent for a while before he said, "I can do one thing for you after I go out. If you want me to board your ship, I would rather die of old age and impel down." Click. Blackbeard opened the cell without saying a word, and said, "Remember what you said today, when I need you, you will do one thing for me." Thief ha 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 ha. After speaking, Blackbeard laughed and walked back. At this time, the prisoners on the 6th floor were almost beaten, and only a few prisoners were left standing. They are, Evil King, Abaro Pizarro, Secret Moon Hunter, Catherine Diame, Big Wine, Basque Chote, Giant Battleship, San Juan Wolf. Except for these 4 prisoners, all the other prisoners were lying on the ground. Blackbeard looked at these 4 guys with satisfaction, looked at them for a while and said, "The victory and defeat have been decided, then you will be members of the Blackbeard Pirates from now on. It's not appropriate to stay here for a long time, let's go." It's Captain Teach. Blackbeard didn't want to stay here for too long, so he led everyone out of the Eternal Hell on the 6th floor, and was about to go up the stairs to the freezing hell on the 5th floor. At this time, Uchiha and the others were looking for Blackbeard on the 5th floor. Suddenly Uchiha Madara's eyes flashed red, and he looked towards the direction of the stairs and said, "Someone is moving in that direction, let's go and have a look." Uchiha Madara didn't wait for Uchiha Itachi to speak, and rushed towards the direction of the stairs. A few flashes disappeared without a trace, and Uchiha Itachi quickly chased after them. Just as Blackbeard and the others came to the 5th floor of freezing hell from the stairs, the Red Earl suddenly stopped and said, "There are 2 strong men approaching, their momentum is like a rainbow, and they are very powerful. Blackbeard, is that your crew?" The Red Earl's observation Hawkeye is very scary, and he has cultivated to the highest level to hear other people's voices, so he was the first to discover the 2 Uchihas who were approaching. The crew member Blackbeard's face darkened in an instant, but he still replied, "My previous crew members were all killed by AB******************, and there is no other crew member except me here. Blackbeard Teach is scolding my captain behind his back, are you ready to die?" Before the person saw Uchiha Madara's voice, he transmitted it first, and after a while Uchiha Madara flashed a few times, and appeared not far from Blackbeard stopped, and Zebo Itachi followed and landed beside Tezebo Madara. Seeing these 2 people, Blackbeard was not calm anymore, and asked with an ugly face, "You guys from Wanjian Pirates, why did you appear in Impel Down?" Uchiha Itachi doesn't know how strong he is, but Uchiha Madara is a monster who can hold Kaido's hammer. If not, he might have to explain here today. He would rather meet Alphad Moran than this monster. Asking for flowers. Blackbeard was secretly anxious, except for him and Shiryu Yuji, everyone else was still wearing handcuffs and anklets. If we fight with them now, the odds of winning are almost zero. Uchiha Madara doesn't care what Blackbeard thinks, and walks step by step towards Blackbeard, with red eyes shining, and Conqueror's haki exuding a sense of oppression all over his body. While walking, he said, "Our captain wants your life, so we are here, you should take it obediently, hand over your life." Quote. Hey, Captain Teach, are you kidding me? Are we going to fight this kind of strong man just after we come out? Catherine Diame felt the aura of Uchiha Madara, and asked with cold sweat on her forehead. Point 0. Fire-style fire extinction. Before Blackbeard could speak, Uchiha Madara directly opened his mouth and spit out a huge flame, which burned towards Blackbeard like a sea of fire. Blackbeard didn't want to fight no matter what, he saw black smoke coming out of his body, facing the sea of flames that hit him. Boom. Rumbling. The collision of black smoke and flames is like the collision of the sun and darkness. The fifth layer of freezing hell is no longer a vast expanse of whiteness. The entire freezing hell is dyed red and black. From a distance, it looks like to the same world. Uchiha Madara was colliding with Blackbeard, but Shiryu of the Rain did not know when he came to the sky above Uchiha Madara's left side, swooped down with the knife in his hand, and slashed at Uchiha Madara fiercely with one knife. Uchiha Madara directly gave up the collision with Blackbeard, covered haki with his left palm and grabbed the knife that was going down, and grabbed Shiryu's neck with his right hand, and said blankly, "Do you want to dance too?" Uchiha Madara, who was grabbed by the neck and held up in the air, was dripping with cold sweat. Before he could speak, Uchiha Madara smashed his head to the ground. Boom. Rumbling. Shiryu's head had an intimate contact with the ground, and his entire head was smashed into the ground. Uchiha Madara's feet quickly covered Haki's head, and he stepped on it fiercely in an instant. Boom. Rumble. Chapter 156. Blackbeard Teach. Boom. Rumbling. Uchiha Madara's feet were stepped on with spider webs, and Shiryu of the Rain was trampled into the snow. Uchiha Madara, who was interrupted by the sneak attack, was still not relieved, and continued to stomp down fiercely with one foot after another. Boom, 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 boom. Dark cave. Blackbeard only reacted at this time. Black smoke came out of his body, and the ground under his feet began to be covered with black smoke, which spread rapidly in all directions, and soon spread to the feet of Uchiha Madara. On the side of Uchiha Itachi in the distance. Blackbeard and others hurriedly came to Shiryu Yuji's side to check his injuries. Seeing that Shiryu Yuji was seriously injured, Blackbeard was also relieved. It would not be easy for him to find a suitable crew member. If he died like this, if he does, he will be at a loss. Blackbeard's face was ugly, and he looked at the Red Earl who was watching the excitement and said, "Red Earl, Bullet, you two also make a move, or none of us will leave Impel down today." The Red Earl said indifferently, "It's you they want to kill, not the two of us, does it have anything to do with whether we can go out or not?" 21 Bullet also said mockingly, "The Red Earl is right, we will not meddle in such matters, you should solve them by yourself. Their current state is not suitable for fighting. They have been imprisoned for so long, not to mention long-term malnutrition, and they are still handcuffed. In this situation, they don't want to face opponents of the same level." Blackbeard's face was dark, and he shouted angrily, "Don't forget what you promised me, you have to do one thing for me, now I want you to help me escape from Impel down." Bullet said with disdain on his face, "What we promised you is to help you do one thing after we go out, instead of fulfilling our promise to help you do this thing now." The Red Earl didn't say a word, obviously he meant the same thing as Bullet, even the few people that Blackbeard brought out just now were standing far away from Blackbeard at this time, it's really like everyone pushed the wall down. Blackbeard looked at these people with an ugly face, and roared angrily, "You don't want me to have a good time, then you don't want to have a good time either." Dark water. Black smoke came out from Blackbeard's left hand, and it directly sucked Catherine Diame towards her. When he came in front of her, he grabbed her by the neck, and Blackbeard clenched his fist with his right hand and punched her directly on the stomach. Boom. Catherine Diame was grabbed by the neck and punched her. Her waist was bent like a shrimp, her eyes were wide open and her mouth was bleeding. Blackbeard threw her on the ground as if she wanted to throw trash and asked, "Are you sure you want to betray me?" Cough, cough. After Catherine Diame was thrown on the ground, she knelt on the ground and coughed persistently. After she regained her strength, she said, "Captain Teach, you have seen our state. We can't participate in the battle at all. Going up is just a matter of death. We didn't want to die when we first came out. You bastards, if you don't want to fight, then you all go to die." After Blackbeard finished speaking, he flew up and kicked Catherine Diame directly on the chin. She was kicked and flew upside down and smashed into the snow. Boom. Boom. Catherine Diame was kicked out for a long time without seeing anything. Blackbeard looked at the other people, and the few people he released lowered their heads and did not dare to look at him. "Can you get out alive?" "Then you are totally wrong. These two guys are planning to fire up my pirate group, not just want to kill me." Blackbeard had been planning for so long, and he was unwilling to fail like this. He still wanted to struggle a little bit, but Blackbeard was still brainwashing his crew. Uchiha Itachi used the body flicker technique to come behind several people and said, "Blackbeard is right. Our captain ordered us to kill all the Blackbeard pirates. Damn when the big wine barrel heard the voice behind him, he turned around and before he finished speaking, he met a pair of blood-red eyes, the pupils of which were spinning like windmills. Tsukuyomi. When the big wine barrel came back to his senses, he was already tied to the cross. Here and there. Let me go, let me go. The whole world changed in an instant, the wooden wine barrel also started to panic. Welcome to my world. I control all the time and space here. Shiryu Itachi appeared next to him and said. Did you do this? Seeing Uchiha Itachi appearing, Deidou asked with his eyes wide open, his face full of horror. Do you like swords or knives? Uchiha Itachi asked without answering him. Before the large barrel could answer, Uchiha Itachi stabbed the shuriken in. Deidou looked at Uchiha Itachi in a dazed and terrified look. Then the world of Tsukuyomi was only left with the screams of the big wine barrel. Boom. When Deidou returned to reality, he knelt down in front of Uchiha Itachi. Uchiha Itachi took out his shuriken and stabbed Deidou directly. Boom. The big wine barrel fell into the snow with a face full of relief. These things happened only in an instant. The people around 040 hadn't realized that the big wine barrel was dead, and looking at the big wine barrel with a relieved smile on his face, everyone around was shuddering and looked at Uchiha Itachi in fear. After Uchiha Itachi killed the big wine barrel, he raised his head and swung the Sharingan with a swipe, swiped at Blackbeard and the others and said, if you can't kill them, Madara, I will do it. If we let them get away, there will be no good for either of us. Uchiha Madara's face darkened suddenly, and he said angrily, are you teaching me how to do things? Facing Uchiha Madara's angry look, Uchiha Itachi said indifferently, I just remind you, don't let them run away just for fun. Bullet asked the Red Earl next to him solemnly, what's the matter with this guy? Red Earl, have you seen it clearly? The Red Earl was still staring at Uchiha Itachi, and explained with a serious face, although I don't know how he did it, and what his ability is, but his ability should be related to the eyes. Quote. Big Wine Barrel was able to stand out among countless strong people by defeating other strong people, and his strength was not weak, but such a person couldn't even resist, so he died inexplicably, which scared them a little. Yes. Chapter 157. Blackbeard playing dead again. Selena Gomez posts powerful bikini then and now. More. 367. 92. 122. After Uchiha Itachi said a few words to Uchiha Madara, the Sharingan turned around and swept towards a mountain like San Juan Wolf. Amaterasu. A mass of black flames floated out of nowhere on his body. Because of his huge body and handcuffs, San Juan Wolf couldn't escape at all. His huge body burned directly, spreading to his entire body in a short while. What? It hurts like hell. San Juan Wolf rolled all over the snow, roaring heart-piercingly. No matter what he tried, he couldn't let the black flames go out. The black flames kept burning his body, and the sound gradually became louder and louder. The smaller it was, the lesser a mountain like Titan was burnt to the point where there was no slag left. Google. Surrounded by the sound of swallowing saliva, except for the two of Uchiha, all of them stared wide-eyed and opened their mouths wide, with a dumbfounded expression. The crawler fled far away, and shouted while running. Blackbeard, you be ********D, you have provoked such a monster, I think you are not here to find the crew, but to find someone to be buried with you. Quote. Abaro Pizarro ran desperately with his head down, suddenly his body stiffened and 073 stopped, his neck stiffened and he raised his head, looking at Uchiha Itachi who appeared in front of him at some point. Avalo Pizarro looked at Uchiha Itachi, those blood-red pupils that seemed to make people sink into him, he was frightened for no reason, and stammered begging for mercy. I will quit the Blackbeard see now. Thieves, is it still too late? Amaterasu. However, what responded to him was a mass of black flames. After Abalo Pizarro dodged in embarrassment, he ran away desperately without looking back, but his hands and feet were handcuffed, how could he be so fast? Looking into Uchiha Itachi's eyes, his arm was on fire for a while, but he tore off his arm abruptly. What? Abalo Pizarro trembled in pain and broke out in cold sweat. Beads of sweat flowed down from his head. He covered his broken arm and groaned in pain. After he regained his strength, he stared at Uchiha Itachi and yelled, since you don't want to let me go, then even if I die, I will bite off a piece of your flesh. Although one arm of Abaro Pizarro was ripped off by CBAG, only one arm remained. Without the restraint of handcuffs, his strength increased instead of multiplying. He clenched his fists to cover Haki, and hammered Uchiha Itachi's head hard with one punch. Facing the fist hit by Abalo Pizarro, Uchiha Itachi remained indifferent, letting the fist hit his head, not dodging or dodging as if in a daze. Boom. After being punched solidly, Uchiha Itachi exploded and turned into a group of crows flying around screaming, wah wah. The crows slowly gathered not far away and turned into Uchiha Itachi again. And unscathed. Abaro Pizarro looked at his fist in a daze, and then at Uchiha Itachi. Yes, I covered armament Haki. Unbelieving, he soared into the sky again, swooped down, and punched Uchiha Itachi hard on the head with one punch. Uchiha Itachi was still indifferent as before, and received a solid punch. Boom. This time, he was directly hammered into smoke and dissipated into the air, but Abalo Pizarro was still frightened, observing his surroundings and not daring to neglect him in the slightest. Are you looking for me? Uchiha Itachi's voice suddenly came from behind him, which made his whole body freeze, and Abaro Pizarro turned his head and shouted with a broken face. You be *********D, are you a human or a ghost? Why doesn't Haki work? Uchiha Itachi didn't do it right away, but said with a face full of memories, I am a person who has died once. It can be said to be a ghost or a human. It depends on how you understand it. After finishing speaking, Uchiha Itachi looked at Obaro Pizarro in a daze, and stabbed the shuriken in his hand fiercely, hitting the heart and sending him into the soul. You be asterisk 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 D, you don't talk about martial arts, and you use it to engage in sneak attacks. Obaro Pizarro, who was suddenly attacked, finally came back to his senses, and fell down behind him after speaking intermittently. Boom. The Blackbeard pirates are still standing, and Blackbeard is the only one left. Uchiha Itachi looked at Uchiha Madara with a puzzled face and asked, Madara, did you release the water? Have you still not dealt with him yet? At this time, Uchiha Madara has been fighting with Blackbeard for a while. Blackbeard's face is pale and bleeding, but he is like a cockroach. No matter how hard he beats, he can't die. Angrily, he directly grabbed one of Blackbeard's feet, and slammed it to the ground, and the ground was covered with spider webs. Quote exclamation mark quote. Boom. Rumbling. It is really not easy to kill such a character with thick skin and strong recovery ability with bare hands. Hearing what Uchiha Itachi said, Uchiha Madara took out his sickle without saying a word, raised the sickle in his hand and slashed at Blackbeard. Seeing the falling scythe, Blackbeard suddenly felt like a dead soul. He was caught and couldn't run, so he could only cover his whole body. Haki twisted his body as much as possible to avoid the vital points, and subconsciously raised his arms to block the scythe. Puff. What? It hurts me, UB asterisk 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 D. Blackbeard's entire arm was chopped off, rolling on the ground in pain, yelling, but Uchiha Madara would not stop. Holding on to his feet, the sickle slashed down mercilessly, one knife after another. After a while, Blackbeard was already covered in blood and dying. The Red Earl and Bullet watched this scene not far away, the corners of their mouths twitched, and they were secretly complaining, these two guys are too ruthless, right? Bump. After Uchiha Madara hacked for a while, seeing that Blackbeard didn't move, he kicked him and flew towards Uchiha Itachi. He still remembered Moran's instructions. The fire burned. Amaterasu. Seeing Blackbeard flying over, Uchiha Itachi also understood in seconds. A ball of black flames burned over directly. Blackbeard flying in the air thought he had succeeded in pretending to be dead, but when he felt the black flames spontaneously igniting on his body, he immediately stopped. Calm down. Chapter 158. Blackbeard Pirates, destroyed. Black smoke came out of Blackbeard's body, trying to swallow the black flames, but he was just doing futile work. Sure enough, when Blackbeard fell to the ground, the black flames had spread to his entire body. What? It hurts to death. It hurts to death. Blackbeard couldn't care less about dying. He rolled in pain on the snow and screamed heart-piercingly. He tried all kinds of methods, but nothing worked. At this moment he finally regretted provoking Moran. It's a pity that there is no regret medicine in the world. However, what Blackbeard didn't know was that Moran had already arranged for people to come to Impel down to block him long before they had any conflicts, so no matter whether Blackbeard provoked Moran or not, in fact, he had only one end, and that was death. Uchiha Itachi looked at Blackbeard, 597, who was slowly being burned to ashes, until there was nothing left, then turned around and walked towards Shiryu of the Rain. Shiryu of the Rain looked at Uchiha Itachi who was approaching, stood up staggeringly, and asked with an ugly face, are you really going to kill them all? Uchiha Itachi said blankly, the order we received is to kill all members of the Blackbeard Pirates, so no matter whether it is a new member or an old member, we will not let go of any of them. When Shiryu of the Rain heard this, he knew there was no need to discuss it, so he pulled out Thunderstorm directly. Surrendering and begging for mercy was useless, and he couldn't do such a thing, even though he knew he was invincible, but he would die in the battle, instead of dying in a wimp. A knife rushes to the thunder. Shiryu of the Rain rushed towards Uchiha Itachi like a bolt of lightning, the fast one could only see afterimages, and flashed past Uchiha Itachi in an instant. Wow. Bump. Uchiha Itachi directly exploded into a cloud of smoke, and Shiryu of the Rain turned around and saw this scene, knowing that his killer had been dodged. Shiryu of the Rain felt a sense of powerlessness in his heart, and secretly sighed in his heart. A powerful enemy is not scary, but an enemy that cannot be defeated is scary. Body flicker technique. Uchiha Itachi looked at Shiryu Yuji who was unable to stand still and lost his fighting spirit. He had no interest in continuing to play, so he came to his back in an instant and stabbed him with a sword. Puff. Shiryu of the Rain was pierced through the heart by a sword, bleeding from the corners of his mouth. His eyes were dull. He went straight down without a word. His vest was bleeding profusely, dyeing the snow red. After Uchiha and the others finished killing the members of the Blackbeard Pirates, they glanced at Bullet and the Red Earl who were watching the fun, and Bullet quickly explained to the two of them, we are not in the same group as the Blackbeard Pirates. Don't get me wrong. Usually they don't need to be afraid, but in their current state, if they fight with these two monsters, they probably won't be able to last a few rounds, and they will be killed. Uchiha Itachi just glanced at it casually. He didn't expect such a big reaction from them. He turned back to the elevator and said without looking back, don't be nervous, our target is only the members of the Blackbeard Pirates. I'm too lazy to move. Uchiha Madara is not like Uchiha Itachi. He really wanted to kill these two people just now, but seeing Uchiha Itachi left, he could only give up this idea, followed Uchiha Itachi's footsteps, and headed for the direction of the elevator. Looking at the two Uchihas walking away slowly, Bullet said with lingering fear, these two guys are too scary, right? And according to their conversation, they are just ordinary crew members, so their captain is so powerful to what extent? The Red Earl chuckled and said, there are so many strong people on the sea, so the sea will be lively in the future. Isn't that a good thing? After finishing speaking, the Red Earl stroked his white hair. It seems that after going out, he must go to find that devil fruit first, otherwise he will not be able to shake his fist. Thinking of this, the Red Earl said, let's find a way to get out first. If we can't get out, it's useless to think so much. Ha 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 ha, you're right, you said after Impel down, let's go. The two of them did not act separately. Although they are both proud people, but now that their handcuffs and ankles have not been removed, and they are in such a dangerous place, if they are still proud at this time, then neither of them will be able to get out. Bar. The two of Uchiha and Uchiha came to the door of the elevator, but the elevator could not be started. After Uchiha Itachi pressed it for a while, he said helplessly, it seems that we can only go up the stairs. The elevator should be shut down by Impel down prison scene. Power it. Uchiha Madara was so angry that he yelled directly, after I go out, see if I don't sink this Impel down. Uchiha Itachi was already walking towards the stairs, when he heard Uchiha Madara still chattering on the spot. He turned his head and said speechlessly, Madara, are you going or not? If you don't, I will go first. I don't want to stay in this kind of place. Stay on. You think I want to stay here? I just want to get out of this damn place. Uchiha Madara was furious, yelling from behind. However, Uchiha Itachi walked on by himself, ignoring him at all, which made our dancing king feel very embarrassed. If he was still in the original world, he would definitely teach Uchiha Itachi to be a man, but unfortunately, he would not be here. I can only think about it. Boom. Rumble. As soon as the two walked up to the third floor of Starvation Hell, they heard a collision and explosion, and another person flew over and hit the wall not far from them. The wall could not withstand the aftermath of the collision. It collapsed and kicked up a cloud of dust. Cough, cough. When the dust dissipated, the two people saw that Rayleigh was sitting in a mess in the ruins and coughing continuously. His clothes were already tattered. Although there was no external injury, the corner of his mouth was bleeding, which was obviously an internal injury. 1.5. At this time, Rayleigh also saw Uchiha and the two, and greeted him familiarly, are you two done? Rayleigh can't hold it anymore, and wants to drag these two monsters into the water. If no one helps, he will probably be left here by Akainu. Uchiha and the two are not fools, how could they be fooled by this kind of trick? They didn't even care about Rayleigh, they just walked to the upper floor without looking back. Akainu didn't stop them. Akainu is no better than Rayleigh at this time. The strength of the two is about the same, but because of their age, if they continue to consume, he will definitely win. Hey, are you really going to die? Seeing that the two were really going to leave, Rayleigh hurriedly shouted and asked. Chapter 159, Uchiha Madara of Admiral Akainu. Upon hearing Rayleigh's words, Uchiha Madara didn't answer his question, but asked directly, old man, do I know you very well? You. Rayleigh was speechless when he was asked directly, and the incoherent, you and me, was stunned for a long time, unable to utter a complete sentence. At this moment, Chopper jumped out, summoned up his courage and shouted, the last time your captain went to Magnetic Drum Island, he took the medical book from Mrs. Doriel, and he said he owed Mrs. Doriel a favor. Can you see it in the future? Doc Doriel take us out to save face. Rayleigh and everyone in the Straw Hat Pirates looked at Uchiha expectantly, waiting for their answer. Lose Dr. Kurha's favor. Uchiha Madara looked at Uchiha Itachi next to him, and asked with a puzzled face, do you know about this, Itachi? Uchiha Itachi thought for a while before remembering, and replied, Master Moran did collect medical books some time ago, it should be the favor owed at that time. When Uchiha Madara heard this, he also remembered. On the way to find the ship doctor, Moran was indeed collecting medical books. Thinking of this, he said directly, then I will kill these 073 Marines and help Lord Moran return the favor. Bar. Fire style fire lost. After Uchiha Madara finished speaking, he shot up into the sky, spit out a fireball that looked like a meteorite, and hit Akainu on the ground. Great eruption. Although Akainu was not in good condition at this time, he didn't know how to write words at all. The magma in his arm turned into a huge arm, and he went straight to meet it with hard steel. Boom. Rumbling. The flame in the magma collided and exploded, and the magma flames splashed everywhere, and fell on the ground to form a sea of flames. The ground was obviously rocky, but the flames were burning fiercely on the ground. Uchiha Madara landed just on top of Akainu's head, stepped on it hard, and Akainu met him with an uppercut. Bump. There were spider webs all over the ground under Akainu's feet. After the two of them collided with fists and feet and stood in a stalemate for a while, a circle of air blast exploded, blowing the people around them tottering. Uchiha Madara twisted his free left foot and swiped directly at Akainu's head. After fighting Rayleigh for so long, he was too tired to react. Boom. Rumbling. Akainu was swept away and hit a wall. The wall couldn't bear the collision and collapsed. Akainu was buried alive in the ruins. The Straw Hats just ran over to help Rayleigh up. Sanji saw Akainu who was kicked out, and asked solemnly, this guy is so strong, are all the members of the Wanjian pirates so powerful? Rayleigh heard this and explained, not everyone is so strong, but the combat members on that boy Moran's ship are basically at this level. Hearing this, everyone in the Straw Hat Pirates finally realized how big the world is, and they thought to themselves, I hope they won't become enemies in the future. Ha 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 ha, Rayleigh, you old guy isn't dead yet. Bullet came here and greeted Rayleigh with a big laugh. You be *********** D who was caught by Marine is not dead yet, how could I die before you? Rayleigh saw the person coming, and he was not used to it, so he just went back and said. Bullet looked at Rayleigh with resentful eyes, like an abandoned little daughter-in-law, and complained. You old guy has come here, and you don't know how to save me. It seems that the Brotherhood in the past has changed over time. The passage of time is slowly fading. Rayleigh scratched his head in embarrassment and turned his head away, not daring to meet Bullet's eyes. He indeed forgot about Bullet, pointing to Akainu and explaining. Bullet, it's not that I don't want to save you, but that I'm entangled by Akainu. I'm so useless. Boom. Boom. CBCE, Bullet wanted to yell at Rayleigh, but suddenly a humanoid thing flew in his direction. Bullet subconsciously clenched his fists and punched it directly. Akainu unluckily flew out again and hit him on one wall. Bullet shook his arm, looked suspiciously at the Red Earl and asked, Did you see what it was that flew over just now? Rayleigh, who was not far away, heard this, and before the Red Earl could speak, he explained with a twitching corner of his mouth. That's Marine Admiral Akainu, it's nothing. Cough, cough. After the dust dissipated, Akainu stood up with difficulty, coughing up blood from the corner of his mouth and shouted. Rayleigh, you be *********, you are nothing, your whole family is nothing. Cough, cough, puff. Because Akainu was too anxious to speak, he coughed again and spit out a big mouthful of blood. His face was pale and he couldn't even stand still. He looked like he was about to fall, as if a gust of wind might blow him to the ground. Uchiha Madara swooped down again and came to the sky behind Akainu in an instant. The side slashed down fiercely. Akainu seemed to have eyes behind him, turned around and punched upwards. Bump. The air waves generated by the collision of the two spread in all directions in circles. Akainu stood on the ground bearing all the pressure, and the ground under his feet was covered with spider webs. Wow. After a stalemate for a while, Akainu still couldn't stop the sickle from falling, and a big gash was cut on his chest, bleeding profusely. This time, he couldn't use his ability to escape, but was actually cut by a knife. Uchiha Madara looked at Akainu, who was kneeling on one foot, covering his chest with one hand, and propped the other hand on the ground to prevent himself from falling down. He walked over step by step and wanted to make a cut. He raised the sickle in his hand and chopped it down. Crack. Suddenly a flash of lightning flashed over quickly, and a figure came to Uchiha Madara in an instant, the black knife in his hand raised up to meet the cut sickle. Clang. Crack. Crack. The aftermath of the collision shook the surrounding walls into cobwebs, and Uchiha Madara's sickle was intercepted. After Uchiha Madara saw who was coming, he put away his sickle helplessly, and asked with a puzzled face, Master Moran, why did you come down in person? He didn't ask why Moran stopped him from killing Akainu, because it was useless to ask. This guy does whatever he wants, and he thinks of it as soon as he thinks about it. Moran explained casually. It's still useful for me to keep this guy. Seeing that you want to kill him, I can only come down and stop him. Chapter 160. Akainu captured by Moran. In fact, after Moran gets close to Impel Down, his knowledge can be covered in Impel Down. Originally, he was lying comfortably on it with salted fish, but seeing Uchiha Madara want to kill his next tool man, other people on board people's speed is not as fast as him, so he can only stop by himself. This guy can't die now, otherwise what would he use to blackmail Sengoku? After seeing the person who came in clearly, Jinbei murmured in confusion. This guy came in just a few days ago, why did he come in again? Rayleigh next to him heard this and asked suspiciously, do you know what he came in for a few days ago? Jinbei explained. At first I thought he was just following Marine's Admiral to take Ace away, but after he left, 2 of his crew secretly stayed in Impel Down, and that's when I realized, 10 inches by he came to Impel Down to send his crew in. What? Luffy next to him jumped up in surprise when he heard this, and asked angrily, so he knows that Ace was taken away a few days ago. Looking at Luffy's behavior, Jinbei was a little puzzled, but he still explained. He not only knows that Ace was taken away by him and Marine's Aokiji, is there any problem? At this time, Sanji also cursed and said, this be ***************, when we met him outside, he didn't tell us, so we made a trip for nothing, and we almost died in this Impel Down. When Jinbei heard this, he understood why Luffy was so angry. If Moran had told them that Ace was no longer in Impel Down, they wouldn't have come to such a dangerous place, and they were almost killed. It's reasonable for Luffy and the others to be angry. Dog Na's Red Lotus. Akainu saw that Moran turned his back to him, his arm was quickly lava, and the lava arm became the shape of a dog's head, and suddenly he punched Moran behind. Moran was well aware of Akainu's G nature, how could he be unprepared, so he exposed his back in front of him, turned around in an instant, and slashed fiercely at the dog's fist that was coming towards him. Bump. After blocking Akainu's fist, Moran taunted. Akainu, you crazy dog, is this how you treat your savior? Akainu's face was ashen, and he roared angrily. You be **********, don't put gold on your face, you evil pirates are all damned. It's true that pirates are evil, but have you ever considered why there are so many pirates? After Moran finished speaking, his foot quickly turned black, and he kicked hard on Akainu's chest. Akainu was kicked and flew upside down, spit out a mouthful of old blood in the air, wow, and continued to fly upside down and hit the wall. The whole person fell into the wall, and couldn't even buckle it down. Moran walked towards Akainu step by step, while mocking. There are so many evil pirates in the world, isn't it because of your marine's incompetence? If your marine can suppress the entire sea, will there still be so many pirates? Akainu was stuck in the wall, looked at the approaching Moran and roared. You evil pirate, what qualifications do you have to comment on the righteous marine? Search. Moran quickened his speed and came to Akainu in an instant. Without further ado, he kicked him fiercely. Akainu couldn't move and could only watch Moran kick him. Boom. Rumbling. The wall was directly kicked by Moran and collapsed, kicking up a cloud of dust. Akainu and Moran both fell into the ruins. When the dust dispersed, Moran walked over step by step, looked at the dying Akainu, and stepped on it directly. Bump. Moran stepped on Akainu, looked at him condescendingly and asked, "You Marine still have justice? Tell me what justice is your Marine. Like a dog, you are called by the world's ZF and you will come and go. You have to hide and hide when you do things. You are afraid that others will know what you are doing. You are afraid of justice in the sun. Does this deserve to be called justice? As an organization that represents justice in this world, but it can't be fair, just, open, and has done anything wrong, it didn't think about solving it immediately, but thinking about how to keep Marine's face. You Marine deserves it. Justice. You don't even dare to admit your own mistakes, but you are full of benevolence, righteousness and morality, and the word justice is on your lips every day. How do you say it?" Akainu was speechless, but he didn't think his justice was wrong, so he closed his eyes without saying a word, saying that I can always escape. Moran looked at Akainu who closed his eyes, took out a seastone handcuff, and handcuffed him directly. This time Akainu seemed to accept his fate, and he didn't even resist. Moran directly grabbed one of Akainu's feet, walked towards Uchiha Itachi and said, "Itachi, get a clone, watch this mad dog, don't let this mad dog run away." Understood, Lord Moran. After Moran handed the man over to Uchiha Itachi, he looked at Rayleigh, who looked like a beggar in tattered clothes, and teased, "Rayleigh, where did you go to beg for food and come back?" Rayleigh asked angrily, "You little b********************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** Just now he heard the conversation between Jinbei and Luffy, and when he thought of this guy wandering around outside Impel Down, he knew that Moran was not just not telling them the news, but let them in on purpose, and what Moran said next was also verified out of his mind. Moran touched his nose in embarrassment, and explained, I wanted to kill someone, but he ran away. I knew he was coming to Impel Down, but since I killed all his crew members, I was afraid he would not no one dared to come to help, so I found some helpers for him. Rayleigh 3.2 You don't mind, do you? Rayleigh was speechless, and secretly complained in his heart, is there a use for my idea? When everyone heard Moran's words, they all had a thought in their hearts, that is, they should not offend this lunatic no matter what in the future. It's not enough to have a bunch of strong people under their hands, and they are so good at calculating and holding grudges, who can stand it? Moran looked at the crowd and listened to his explanation, all of them were far away from him, a little bewildered, and secretly complained, I don't eat people, are you afraid of a bird? Moran, who felt bored, didn't care about them anymore, turned around and said, let's go. Those who were still on the third floor were secretly relieved to see Moran and the others walking away slowly, and did not make things difficult for them. Chapter 161. Akainu was arrested and Marine received the news. Moran took Uchiha Itachi and the two of them, and Uchiha Itachi behind him grabbed one of Akainu's feet, dragged on the ground and walked out of Impel Down slowly. When they came to the first floor of the sea, the surrounding prison scene saw Akainu being dragged to the ground, and asked loudly, Shichibukai Alphad Moran, what do you want to do to Akainu Admiral? And why are you here? When Moran attacked Impel Down in the morning, the foggy prisoners didn't know who was attacking their Impel Down. When Moran rushed into Impel Down, he turned into a bolt of lightning, so they couldn't recognize him, and the news that Shichibukai was withdrawn it didn't reach Impel Down either, otherwise they wouldn't have asked such $100 questions. Moran wanted to understand this, and began to fool Dafa and nonsense. Admiral of Headquarters betrayed Marine, took refuge in the pirate Silver Rayleigh, and released a large number of prisoners from Impel Down. I dealt with the large number of prisoners inside, and after I captured Akainu, I fled because I was outnumbered. Come out. The prisoners on the 6th floor have been released, please contact Marine for support. What? When a group of prison scenes heard the news, they immediately believed Moran's words, and were stunned. One prison scene came back to his senses and shouted directly, call Naval Headquarters quickly and ask Marine to come over for support. Bang, bang, bang. Hearing this, Akainu opened his eyes and wanted to explain, but Uchiha Itachi stepped on his mouth fiercely. As long as he wanted to speak, Uchiha Itachi's foot would be stepped on mercilessly. After several times, Akainu gave up directly. Whoever I want to love. In fact, what Moran didn't know was that when he appeared on the 3rd floor of Impel Down, the two prison scenes in the monitoring room had already contacted Naval Headquarters, and now it is estimated that Marine's support is already on the way. After Moran fooled the group of prison scenes, he didn't care about them. Green energy emerged from his body and surrounded them all. People dare to stop him. Da da da, da da da, everyone rushed out of Impel Down, in one go. Quote. As soon as Moran walked out of Impel Down, a group of people rushed out. There were too many people running, like thousands of horses galloping, and the whole Impel Down vibrated. Boo boo, boo boo. A prison scene felt the shock of Impel Down, and the footsteps were getting closer and closer. He looked at the caller and asked anxiously, is the phone bug still not connected? The prisoner who ran out of Shokong is getting closer what? The prison scene of the phone bug said with sweat profusely, Naval Headquarters has not been connected yet, maybe there is something delaying it. Mossy, this is Naval Headquarters, I am Colonel Gullet of Naval Headquarters, what can I do? This is Impel Down. Akainu Admiral betrayed Marine. He defected to the pirates and released a large number of prisoners. They have been captured and taken away by Shichibukai Alphad Moran. Now Impel Down has fallen and asked for support. The prison scene is simple and clear. Quick finish. 3 most serious news. What did you say? Akainu Admiral betrayed Marine, joined the pirates, and Impel Down. Are you serious? When the colonel of the headquarters heard the news, Gullet almost bit off his tongue in shock, and repeated the question uncertainly. The other party was not joking, and the group hurried to the marshal's office. Naval Headquarters Marshal's office. At this time, Sengoku was frowning. He had just received the news from the monitoring room of Impel Down that Moran had appeared on the 3rd floor of Impel Down. He had sent Kizaru to support him, but Kizaru alone could not stop it. That guy, he can only pray that Moran doesn't make too much trouble now. Sengoku, who knows Moran's horror, never thought of stopping him, unless he brings all the strong people from the headquarters, otherwise there is no way at all. But in this extraordinary period, he is not allowed to mobilize so many strong people to support Impel Down. Sengoku thought secretly. Boom. Da da da. Sengoku was still thinking about it. The door of the office was violently knocked open by Colonel Marine, who hurried in. Seeing the colonel in such a hurry, Sengoku didn't make things difficult for him, because there was nothing important. It was impossible it would be like this in a hurry, but as he thought of this, his heart sank. Sure enough, what the colonel said next verified his thoughts. Reporting to the marshal, Impel Down was captured, Akainu Admiral betrayed Marine, joined the pirates, and released a large number of prisoners in Impel Down, and now they have been captured by Shichibukai Alphad Moran. At this point, the colonel was stunned because he suddenly remembered that Moran was no longer Shichibukai, and the colonel looked at Sengoku a little bewildered after realizing this. Sengoku's face gradually darkened, and he scolded and asked, Shichibukai Alphad Moran has already been revoked the title of Shichibukai, so what's going on? The colonel said with a sad face. I don't know, that's what the people in Impel Down said. They asked Naval Headquarters to send reinforcements there. We already know, you go out first. Crane Vice Admiral, who was sitting on the sofa, came out to help him out and said. It's Crane Vice Admiral. After the colonel walked out of the office, Sengoku asked with a puzzled face. Suru, I still have a lot of questions to ask, why don't you let me ask them clearly? Crane Vice Admiral explained. These words are estimated to be from Moran, who intentionally let the prison scene of Impel Down come back. Except for Akainu's capture and Impel Down, I guess other news is false. Listen, it's the same if you don't listen to it, and it's easy to affect your judgment if you listen to it. Sengoku rubbed his brows, and said with a livid face, this kid ran to Impel Down to catch Akainu, what is he trying to do? Crane Vice Admiral saw that Sengoku was obsessed with Moran's affairs, and persuaded. Sengoku, the one with the money, don't think about Akainu, since Moran just caught him, then Akainu will not be in danger in a short time. The most important thing at the moment is to deal with the Impel Down wheel trap first, otherwise if those monsters are allowed to escape, there will be no peace in the sea in the future. Sengoku thought for a while and felt that what Suru Vice Admiral said made sense, turned his head to look at Garp sitting on the sofa and said, Garp, go to Impel Down, don't let the group of monsters inside run out. I see. Garp responded and stood up and walked out. Looking at Garp walking away, Crane Vice Admiral asked, Sengoku, is it really okay to let Garp go at this time? Sengoku explained. Now Aokiji is not here, the only ones who can go to Impel Down are him and Kizaru, the others can't solve the problem if they go, shit. Chapter 162, Rayleigh struck by lightning. At this time, Moran didn't leave, but stayed to watch the fun. The surrounding warships were sunk by them, and the group of people still in the Impel Down must not be able to escape, so he stayed and planned to blackmail them on the run. Bang, bang, bang. There was also a group of prisoners in Rayleigh fighting with the prison scene on the 1st floor, and they solved the prison scene on the 1st floor with 3 attacks, but they were dumbfounded when they came outside, because there was a warship around the entire Impel Down. No, how could they go out to sea and escape? Bullet saw that there was not a single warship around, and asked suspiciously, Rayleigh, you guys are coming to Impel Down, don't you come by flying? Rayleigh explained with an ugly face. I can't fly, how could I fly here? First was a marine who pretended to be a marine and sneaked into Impel Down. When I came here, there were at least 20 warships in Impel around the down. At this time, Usopp with a telescope shouted, no, it's not that there is no warship, there is a warship over there. Everyone looked at the direction Usopp was pointing at, and could vaguely see the shadow of a ship. If you didn't look carefully, you couldn't see it at all. After everyone saw the warship in the distance. But it's too far to go. At this time, Bullet suggested, is there anyone here who can fly or move in the air? Come with me to grab the warship, come here. That should be the warship that Moran was on. If you think you're not dying fast enough, I won't stop you. As soon as Bullet finished speaking, Rayleigh mercilessly poured cold water on him. Bullet touched his nose in embarrassment when he heard Rayleigh's words, and asked suspiciously, the warship is so far away, how do you know that guy is on it? Rayleigh looked at Bullet with a look of foolishness, and said, there is no one else except us and him who just came out, who else could it be? Rayleigh glanced at Bullet with disdain, and secretly complained in his heart. This guy looks like a chicken with well-developed limbs, he probably only has meat but not brains. Seeing Rayleigh's expression and eyes, Bullet shouted angrily, Rayleigh, what do you mean by that expression? Are you D trying to fight? The Red Earl saw the two people who were pinching each other, and persuaded him speechlessly. Enough is enough for you two, You are still making trouble here at this time, can't you think about how to get out of here if you have the time? Luffy looked at Jinbei squatting on the beach, and a shark appeared in front of him, as if talking to Jinbei, squatting down in doubt and asking, Jinbei, are you talking to the fish? That's amazing. Jinbei explained. The old man is a Murloc whale shark, so he can talk to shark-like fish. I'm asking them where all the nearby warships have gone. How did you find out? When everyone heard Jinbei's words, they gathered around one after another, looking at him expectantly and asking. Jinbei said with an ugly face. I asked it out, but the surrounding warships were sunk by several people in the morning, and only one warship remained, which is the warship where Alphad Moran is currently sitting on. After Jinbei finished speaking, he said as if talking to himself, why did he sink all the warships? Rayleigh guessed with a puzzled look. I guess that B********** D was afraid that the person he wanted to kill would escape, so he sank all the surrounding warships. Hearing Rayleigh's conjecture, everyone gasped. This man is too cruel. Who can stand up to a set of serial numbers? What a hatred, what a grievance. In the future, I won't mess with this guy. Not only don't mess with it, it's better not to touch him, or if I accidentally offend him one day I don't know why I was played to death by this guy. At this time, the Red Earl suddenly suggested. Since there is no way to snatch the warship over, if any one of you is more familiar with that guy, you can ask him for help, and it's okay to take us out of here. When Rayleigh heard this, he poured cold water on him. You don't want to rely on your connections to get on his warship. It's impossible. This guy only recognizes money but not people. There is no Bailey with hundreds of millions. He won't even look at you. Bullet heard that he only asked for money, so he said proudly, Rayleigh, go and talk to him. No matter how much money you want, as long as you can take us out, after leaving here, don't you have as much money as you want? Asking for flowers. Yes, money is not a problem. Hundreds of prisoners also echoed. Rayleigh did not delay, and said to Jinbei, Jinbei, you are a Murloc and you are not afraid of sea kings, so you can go with me. It is good. Moran, who was lying on the deck chair, suddenly opened his eyes and said, Hashirama brings the warship close to Impel down, we will make a deal and leave. Understood, Lord Moran. It turns out that Moran has been observing the situation of Impel down, and he heard all the conversations between Rayleigh and the others just now. Rayleigh, who was just about to swim in the sea, saw the warship slowly approaching, and said speechlessly, it seems that the B******** D has been observing here, and he came over just after we finished talking. This guy probably has never seen money in his previous life. Quote. Crack. Boom. Just as Rayleigh finished speaking, a thunderbolt flashed across the sky and struck Rayleigh directly. Fortunately, he reacted quickly and rolled over like a donkey, and dodged in embarrassment. Quote exclamation mark. Quote. However, Lay escaped the first thunder and lightning, but not the second thunder and lightning. The 7 orifices that were directly slashed smoked, and his white hair stood upright one by one. After being struck by lightning, Rayleigh froze on the spot, clenched his fists and trembled all over, not because he was injured or something, but because he was trembling from anger. Clap. Moran turned into a bolt of lightning and flashed across the sky. Seeing Rayleigh trembling after landing, he asked suspiciously, Rayleigh, do you have some kind of illness? For example, epilepsy or something like that. Shaking like this should be serious, right? Quote. After Moran finished speaking, he was still circling around Rayleigh, sometimes nodding, sometimes shaking his head, rolling his eyes at the group of werewolves around him and being speechless for a while. At this time, Rayleigh, who finally came back to his senses, looked at the B******* D in front of him and roared. Just talking about you, you B****** D just hit me with lightning. Moran picked out his ear and started talking nonsense. If you say a bad word about me, I'll just slap you, so we're even. Chapter 163. Admiral Kizaru. Rayleigh knew that he couldn't say anything about this shameless guy, so he changed the subject directly and asked, you probably heard what we said just now, right? Moran looked at the hundreds of prisoners and said, it's okay to join my warship, but the reward for each person is within 1 month after they go out, and all of them can be handed over to me. Hearing this, Nami asked cautiously, what will happen if you don't pay the money within a month? Moran glanced at her, and deliberately threatened with a straight face. Don't worry, I won't send you back to Impel down, at most I will send you to hell. Nami said disdainfully. There are so many people here, and you pirates have so few people, how could you have so much time to hunt and kill us? Moran looked at Nami with a smile and asked, little girl, you are still too young, you can ask Rayleigh, do pirates like me lack followers? Rayleigh also explained very cooperatively. He is now the 5th Emperor of the Sea. If he releases news to recruit followers, it is estimated that there will be tens of thousands of pirates on 21. You want to join his pirate group. Hearing this, some prisoners who were lucky enough to put away the idea of running away after going out, thought it was just a stronger guy, but they didn't expect such a terrifying guy. Seeing the warship approaching, Moran jumped on it, turned around and looked at a group of prisoners and said, if you want to board my warship, you have to pay money or die, you choose. Don't worry about it so much, get out of this damn place and say. Go. That's right, hundreds of millions of Baileys, it's better than staying in this ghost place. Da. After someone takes the lead, a group of prisoners are no longer afraid, but scramble to run to the warship. This is the only chance to get out, and everyone doesn't want to miss it. After seeing hundreds of people coming up, Moran ordered, Hashirama sails and we leave here, and go to Sabaody archipelago first. Master Moran, where is it necessary for the bosses to start the boat, let us do it. A very sensible prisoner took the lead to sail the boat, and even the boss called on him. Others followed to operate the warship. Only the freezing hell on the 5th floor and the 2 monsters from the eternal hell on the 6th floor ran out. The others were all dead. Moran didn't notice just now that there was a group of ladyboys in this group of people. I didn't expect this group of ladyboys unknowingly, they also ran out among the crowd. Moran just glanced at a group of transgressives and ignored it. Anyway, no matter who boarded the boat, he had to pay, even if Uranus Lousy came. Moran was lying on the deck chair like a salted fish, basking in the sun with his eyes squinted, but just as Moran lay down for a while, a golden light beam flew over from the sky. Call out. The golden light beam fell on the mast of the warship, and slowly turned into a man in a red and yellow striped suit and a marine justice coat, looking at the deck with his mouth crooked. Moran opened his eyes and took a look, then lazily threatened. Yellow monkey, you stand so high, do you want me to knock you down like a bird? When Kizaru heard Moran calling him that, his wrinkled face immediately wrinkled into a ball, but he still begged for mercy. Don't. I'll come down right away, don't mess around. Seeing that the admiral of headquarters was coming, all the prisoners on the warship became nervous, and all of them looked at Moran nervously, wondering if Moran would protect them. If not, they are no match for Marine Admiral now what? After Kizaru landed on the deck, he glanced at Acedus and the others, and confirmed that they were people he could not offend. He asked cautiously, there are so many prisoners like Alfad Moran, can you let me take some back? Give the marshal an explanation. The prisoners on the warship, looking at the humble and cautious Marine Admiral, were all shocked, and looked at Kizaru dumbfounded. When did Marine Admiral become so ignorant? Is this still the Marine Admiral they know? A prisoner pushed the person next to him and whispered, hey. Why do first feel that Marine Admiral seems a little afraid of Boss Moran? The person next to him whispered with deep empathy, that's a little scary, didn't you look at Marine Admiral's feet, are they trembling? The prisoners around were talking more and more outrageously. Although they only spoke in a low voice, how could a person with Kizaru's strength so close to him not hear him? You can tell by his darker and darker face, you probably heard everything. Moran also heard what these prisoners said, but he didn't want to care about it, and said directly to Kizaru, I have already made a deal with them, today you can't take it away alone, you Marine broke my fortune, and I can find other ways to make money. Kizaru looked confused, and asked in confusion, when did our Marine cut off your money? Moran asked angrily, what did I make the most money in the past? This shameless guy used to earn bounties, but now that he doesn't have the title of Shichibukai, he can't exchange bounties. It really cut off his money. Kizaru, who wanted to understand this, was embarrassed for a while and didn't know what to do, but he still bit the bullet and continued to quibble. To take back your title of Shichibukai, that was the decision made by Marshal Sengoku, and it's not my decision, so don't embarrass me bar. Moran didn't want to talk nonsense with him, and directly threatened, since you don't want to leave, then stay. 750 inches Acedus. Hearing Moran calling himself, Acedus stepped on his high heels excitedly, walked towards Kizaru step by step, and asked without looking back, Moran, kill him, or arrest him. Kill it or catch it, it's up to you to decide. After Moran finished speaking, he closed his eyes and continued to lie down and bask in his sun. The salted fish is the biggest in the world. Don't. If you have something to say, please do it. I'll go now. Call out. Kizaru was incoherent in a hurry. He originally wanted to talk about whether he could bring some prisoners back, but when he saw Moran close his eyes, he knew it was over. After seeing that Acedus really wanted to do something, Kizaru was so scared that he ran away. Acedus looked at Kizaru who ran straight away, and mocked with disdain on his face. This guy is too boring, he dared to fight with me for a long time last time, but now he doesn't even dare to fight. Rayleigh complained. You almost hacked someone to death last time, it's normal for him to be afraid of you. Acedus glanced at Rayleigh and asked Moran, can I compete with this old man? Moran said without raising his head, it's okay not to kill him, he still owes me billions of Baileys. Chapter 164, Encountered Garp halfway. A few kilometers away, on the only way Moran must pass, a dog-headed warship was parked on the sea, when a golden light beam flew over in the sky. Call out. Garp looked at the golden beam falling on the deck and turned into Kizaru's appearance, and asked, what's the attitude of the other party? Kizaru said with lingering fear, I didn't even see Akainu's face, I just made a point that the prisoner came back, and I was almost killed by that B*****************************************************************************************************it is probably impossible to return the prisoner, and it is possible to save Akainu Marine only if he bleeds heavily. Ha. Garp looked like he had nothing to do with himself, and laughed loudly. It's okay, anyway, we can't do anything to that kid, let Sengoku have a headache. Hearing Garp's words, Kizaru's eyes lit up and he felt reasonable, and said, I'll report to Marshal Sengoku. After finishing speaking, Kizaru took out the phone bug and called directly. This kind of drudgery Kizaru said that he couldn't bear it, so let his superiors have a headache. After being frozen and beaten by Acedus, Rayleigh, with a bruised nose and swollen face, sat on the edge of the railing 393 far away from Acedus, for fear that this terrifying woman would give him another set of Foshan shadowless feet. The warship started sailing towards Sabaody archipelago. What Moran didn't know was that there was a dog-headed warship blocking him in front of him, but even if he knew, he wouldn't take it seriously. After all, today is different from the past. Before sailing for a long time, Usopp was on the observation deck when he saw a huge dog-headed warship parked on the sea on their only way, and quickly shouted to the people below, "Hey! There is a warship ahead, stop it en route." Moran scanned the area with knowledge, and then said directly, "It's that old B*********** D Garp, let's just drive there if you have nothing to do." After finishing speaking, he looked at Acedus and ordered, "That old guy Acedus later, if you dare to stop us, you can directly sink his warship without mercy." Everyone rolled their eyes collectively when they heard this, probably only this guy in the sea dared not take Garp seriously. Everyone thought secretly in their hearts. After a while, the two warships were only about 10 meters apart. Garp's warship didn't intend to stop them, and the warship passed by 10 meters apart. Moran had already come to the edge of the railing, looked at the other side and asked loudly, "Garp, you old guy, aren't you going to intercept us?" "Ha ha ha ha, old man, I can't stop you kid, I just brought you a phone bug." Garp laughed and threw a phone bug over. Pat. Moran stretched out his hand to catch the phone bug that was thrown over. After he was taken back as Shichibukai, he threw the phone bug that contacted Marine directly. It is estimated that Sengoku wanted to redeem Akainu back, but he couldn't contact him, so he let Garp send it. Sengoku sent support at the beginning, intending to capture all the prisoners back, but the prisoners are all on Moran's warship, so they can only give up. These prisoners can give up, but Akainu and the Marine must be rescued. Moran looked at Garp who dropped the phone bug and left, and ordered without stopping, "Let's get out of here too." "It's Boss Moran." Moran looked at a group of prisoners, calling him boss one by one, and thought to himself, this group of guys adapt quite quickly. It's a pity that he doesn't want to take these guys as his subordinates, otherwise he can use a big boat group. Boo 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 boo. Not long after the warship sailed out, the phone bug in Moran's hand rang. It seems that old guy Sengoku is quite rare about this Akainu. "Mossy, I'm Alphad Moran, what can you do for me, General Mentally Disabled, CBBD?" Moran asked knowingly after answering the call bug. As soon as Moran finished talking about the phone bug, there was a roar and asked, "Moran, you be ***************, release the prisoners in Impel Down, what do you want to do?" Although the prisoner on the 5th floor of Impel Down was the one who asked someone to release him, how could he admit such a thing, and he said nonsense, "Marshal mentally handicapped, did you get water in your head?" "That's a good thing Blackbeard did, it's none of my business shit. If you want to make a head start, accuse yourself first, and want to take the initiative of the next negotiation in your own hands, do you want to eat a asterisk? Lousy is no longer Shichibukai, even if you blow Impel Down, what can you do?" Moran thought secretly. After Sengoku found that this method was not feasible, he asked another question. "Impel Down is none of your business, so what do you mean by arresting Akainu?" Moran said with a speechless face, "First of all, I am no longer Shichibukai. How I do things is my freedom. Even if I turn my head away and blow up naval headquarters directly, you are not qualified to blame me. Do you understand, retarded Marshal?" Who, you be ******************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** Moran still said very calmly. If you want me to let him go, it's okay, 50 billion Baileys, don't bargain with me, I think Whitebeard should be very willing to pay this money. Moran directly blocked their road, and he was afraid that he would be tricked by Vice Admiral again later, so he had to pay the money or I would sell it to Whitebeard, only giving them the right to choose, not the right to bargain. Hearing 50 billion, Sengoku cursed angrily, you be asterisk 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 D, 50 billion, why don't you grab it? Moran replied shamelessly, there is no such thing as a business that grabs money, and it's quick to make money. Bang. Phone bug. Moran looked at the phone bug with his eyes closed in his hand, and thought to himself, did I ask too high a price? Forget it, don't worry about it, the words have been said anyway, and it's impossible to take them back, so whatever you want. In Naval Headquarters Marshal's office, Suru Vice Admiral looked at the table and phone bugs, which were smashed to pieces by Sengoku, and said helplessly, Sengoku, this is not the first time you have dealt with him, getting angry can't solve the problem at all. Sengoku was still angry and said, sooner or later, this be asterisk 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 D, I will catch him and impel down. Crane Vice Admiral shook his head resignedly and persuaded, it's important that Sengoku save Akainu first, if he really sells to Whitebeard, there is no need to fight this war at all. Chapter 165. Reaching the Sabaody Archipelago, Rayleigh the Shameless. Next day to Sabaody Archipelago. On the sea level, a warship is sailing towards the Sabaody Archipelago, but the people on the warship are not Marines, but a group of prisoners wearing blue and white striped uniforms. These are the prisoners who just escaped from Impel down yesterday, and Moran and his group. At this time, Moran was still as usual, lying on the deck chair comfortably in the sun, and no one around him dared to come within 1 meter of him, for fear that he would throw Moran into the sea because of a prisoner who ran out yesterday. After that, he yelled excitedly on the deck, but was thrown into the sea by Moran to feed the fish. During the period, Sengoku called several times, but each time it ended because Sengoku was angry and smashed the phone bug, and until now, no agreement has been reached. Usopp observed the surroundings on the observation deck, and took his single telescope to look around at 527. An island with bubbles came into his field of vision, lowered his head and shouted at Shenji, "Everyone, I see the Sabaody archipelago." Upon hearing this, Moran stood up and ordered, "Dock and land on Sabaody archipelago." It's boss Moran. Not long after, the warship landed and stopped. A group of prisoners landed on the island and waited for Moran to speak. No one dared to leave. Bullet and the Red Earl were also waiting on the shore. Anyway, they were not in a hurry. Moran came to the edge of the railing, looked at the group of people on the shore, and rushed to people. "What are you still doing here? Hurry up and collect money for me. If there is no money within a month, don't blame me for being rude. I know boss Moran. I guarantee that there will be no less Pele, so don't worry." "Yes, yes, yes. I guarantee that there will be no less." A group of prisoners hurriedly patted their chests to reassure, and then they all ran away without a trace. Bullet and the two also said hello and left. Only Moran, the Straw Hat crew, and an old man Rayleigh were left on the warship. Rayleigh approached Moran with a smile on his face. Before he could speak, Moran said first, "Rayleigh, if you dare to say that you have no money, I will kill you right now." Rayleigh froze his smile, touched his nose in embarrassment, and said speechlessly, "We've known each other for so long, can't you just let me go?" Moran said calmly, "It's not impossible to get free. If it's free, it's going to be sideways. Do you want to try it?" Rayleigh said with a puzzled look, "Forget about this method, I haven't lived enough, old man. It seems that I can only ask Shaki for help with the cheek, my waist, I have to work hard on you again." Rayleigh thought helplessly. Moran looked at this old guy who didn't want to die and didn't want to give money, and said angrily, "Since you don't want to die, then hurry up and collect money for me, don't just hang around here, go find your old lover." Moran looked at the Straw Hat crew and said, "Let's go too." These few were like mosquito legs, he didn't bother to talk to them if they didn't have much meat, and just told them to leave here as soon as possible. After 5 people had left, Moran ordered, "Hashirama sailed the warship to Mangrove number 20, we will meet them first, and we are considering the next plan." Master Moran. Senju Hashirama used wood clone to sail the boat, and he just split out a few clones to get it done, but he ran aside and started to imitate Moran's salted fish to bask in the sun. "I originally planned to finish the Summit War and then go to New World, but now the Summit War hasn't started yet, and I'm back at the Sabaody archipelago. The plan really can't keep up with the changes. The Summit War will start tomorrow, and after we go back later, we will start rushing to the naval headquarters again, and I don't know if we can make it to the beginning." When Moran thought about it, the warship had already arrived near number 20 mangrove tree. Looking at the boat docked next to the red tree No. 20, Moran directly turned into a thunderbolt, and came to the sky above his own boat in a few flashes. Seeing Robin reading a book quietly on the deck, Moran landed on the deck with a smile on his face and asked, "Robin, I'm back, do you miss me?" Robin just raised his head and glanced at him, then continued to lower his head to read the book and said, "Captain, you have only been away for a few days, not for a few years, what are you thinking about?" Although Robin was full of joy and wished she could throw herself into Moran's arms right now, but now that there were other people on the deck, she controlled herself very rationally, not letting herself lose her composure, and talking about it at night. Moran looked at such a plain Robin, and said a little puzzled, "Robin, I have only been away for a few days, who did you learn your cold personality from? Normally, this girl is just a bit dark-bellied, but I didn't expect to become so indifferent after only a few days away, it would be fine if she stayed away for a longer time." "Moran big brother, you are back. Da da da." As soon as Blue Bonnie came out of the kitchen, he rushed over when he saw Moran yelling. He was so happy that he hung on Moran, pressing his head into his arms. Robin peeked enviously. With his rational character, he couldn't do such a thing as jumping into Moran's arms in public, but he was very envious of Blue Bonnie. Moran couldn't stand this little girl, he was a little out of breath, so he could only say helplessly, "Bonnie, come down first, do you want to smother me to death?" "I'm sorry Moran big brother, I didn't do it on purpose." Blue Bonnie pinched the hem of his clothes and said embarrassedly after letting go of Moran. Moran patted her head and comforted her. "It's okay Bonnie, I'm just talking, if you want to smother me to death, you have to eat more food, and it's possible to grow some meat." Blue Bonnie looked puzzled, obviously couldn't hear what Moran said, tilted his head to look at Moran, his eyes blinked, Moran shouted in his heart that he couldn't bear it, it was a cute fowl. Moran leaned forward and said, "Sip." Blue Bonnie was suddenly attacked by 2.2 Moran, touched his little face and was stunned, Dudu opened his mouth wide, and the pupils of his eyes dilated. "What? Da da da." After regaining his senses, Lan Bonnie yelled in panic, and ran away without looking back. After running back to the kitchen, he showed a small head with a fierce, cute look and said, "Moran big brother, you bullied me, I will definitely tell Sister Chitong." Blue Bonnie slammed the kitchen door after she finished speaking, as if she was afraid that Moran would run in to settle accounts with her, and Moran was speechless for a while. Robin next to him asked suspiciously, "Captain, you can't handle Arturia, so you shifted your target to Bo Niang." Chapter 166. Once bitten by a snake for 10 years afraid of well rope. Moran said with a puzzled face, "Robin, if you don't expose me, will you feel uncomfortable all over?" Moran looked at Robin carefully, and finally found that she was just pretending to be calm on purpose. Secretly, this sister Yu is troublesome, she has too much self-control. Thinking of this, Moran didn't wait for Robin to speak, directly pulled him into his arms, lowered his head and arched him up. It wasn't until Robin was out of breath that Moran let go of her, stared into her eyes and asked again, I'll give you a chance to reorganize your words and say, do you miss me? Robin saw the people who had just returned from the warship and were watching a play, rolled his eyes at Moran, and said angrily, think about it, don't think about food, I don't care about you these few days when you're not here. I'm hungry and thin because I can't eat every day, okay? After speaking, he pushed Moran away, blushed and fled in panic. Usually there are only two of us, but today being watched by so many people, Robin said he couldn't stand it. Moran watched Robin leave, and thought to himself, make you reserved, let you make fun of me, I can't cure you anymore. Moran turned his head to look at the few people who were still watching the fun, and said angrily, what are you looking at? Have you ever seen a young couple making out? Ha 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 ha. Van Oka laughed wildly. We have seen other people making out, but we have never seen pigs chasing cabbages. Everyone turned their heads and looked at him like a fool, thinking, it's fine if you know it yourself, and if you say it, aren't you looking for death? Boom. Thump. Sure enough, the thoughts in everyone's minds were verified immediately, and Van Oka flew backwards in an instant, and fell into the sea with a plop. Moran came to the edge of the railing and looked at Van Oka in the sea, raised his hand and shook it lightly. A round water polo of more than 10 meters slowly floated up, and Van Oka was inside the water polo, dancing and begging desperately for mercy, but he couldn't speak in the water polo, and could only look at Moran with begging eyes. Van Oka struggled desperately in the water polo, but the water polo was controlled by Moran. No matter how hard he struggled, he could not escape from the water polo. Bang! Moran saw that Van Oka was already rolling his eyes, so he withdrew his ability to control the water polo. The water polo lost Moran's control, and exploded with a bang, and Van Oka fell back into the sea. Cough, cough, you nasty bee asterisk 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 D captain, you almost killed me. Van Orca yelled angrily at Moran, coughing, after climbing back on board. Moran walked into Robin's room as if he couldn't hear his yelling, and thought to himself, it's boring to play with these men, it's more interesting to play poker with Robin. Noon. Moran slept from morning until noon. He was woken up by Robin to eat, otherwise he probably could have slept until night. This one is for Moran, big brother, you don't want to touch it. As soon as Moran walked to the door of the restaurant, he saw Blue Bonnie standing in front of a pile of food, stopping a group of guys grabbing food. The red pupil shook the Blue Bonnie in disgust. Bonnie, there is still so much food, Master Moran can't eat that much, and we just eat a little, he won't find out. Blue Bonnie's attitude was very firm, he kept shaking his head and said, no, no, no. You are not allowed to eat Moran, big brother's food, if you want to eat it, I will make it for you later. Quote. After Moran walked into the restaurant, he looked at the messy restaurant and said angrily, are you all starving ghosts reincarnated? When the people in the restaurant saw Moran coming in, they all scattered and went back to their places. They didn't really want to grab food, but were playing with Blue Bonnie. Every time they saw Blue Bonnie protecting food they find it very interesting. Moran, big brother, you're up. Come and eat. Blue Bonnie greeted Moran happily, chatting non-stop. Moran touched Lan Bonnie's small head, and looked at the people who were sitting in their seats eating quietly, as if they were not the ones grabbing the food just now. Moran directly said to Blue Bonnie, Bonnie, next time they do this again, you put some special seasoning in their food, understand? I know, Moran, big brother. Hearing the conversation between the two, everyone's hearts were chilled, and they thought to themselves, Bonnie, don't really listen to what Captain Pervert said. Moran also began to sit down to eat, and said while eating, we will set sail after dinner and go to Naval Headquarters Marineford. Let's go together this time. Robin asked suspiciously, Captain, you are not Shichibukai anymore, is it really okay to go to Naval Headquarters? Moran explained, when the war breaks out, who will take care of us, and we don't have to be afraid of Marine, they dare not do anything to us in this special period. Acedus looked expectantly, looked at Moran and asked, are we going to participate in the battle, or to watch the excitement? Moran looked at the militants in the boat, and said speechlessly, it's not to participate in the battle, but to make a deal. If there is no agreement, there should be a fight. I hope this trip to Naval Headquarters will not be too smooth. It is best to give them a chance to meet Marine, otherwise it will be too boring. Everyone thought secretly. Everyone had their own little thoughts, and no one was talking until the end of the meal. Moran just pulled a recliner to lie down after eating, when he heard footsteps approaching him. Da da da, Moran, big brother, your phone bug is ringing. Blue Bonnie took a phone bug, trotted over, and handed the phone bug to Moran. Thanks, Bonnie. You're welcome, Moran, big brother. Boo boo, boo boo, Mosey, I'm Alphad Moran, Marshal of Zon de Li Hao. I have already said very clearly before, either prepare 50 billion Baileys, or you don't need to call me to waste time. Quote. Moran was once bitten by a snake and afraid of well ropes for 10 years. Now he deals with Marine, never giving them a chance to bargain, and directly blocking the road to death. Moran, I am Crane Vice Admiral, our Marine can give you 50 billion Baileys, and we can give you another 50 billion Baileys, but you have to help us fight the Whitebeard pirates, you release Akainu first, war after the end, we Marine, how about handing over 100 billion Baileys to you? Moran's attitude is very firm. I don't think it's very good, it's still the same two sentences, one hand pays the other hand the fire. Moran and our Marine will not be able to spend that much money in a short period of time, you can see if you can. Chapter 167. Talk to Marine, deal with Whitebeard. Thump. Before Vice Admiral could finish speaking, Moran threw the phone bug into the sea, thinking to himself, it seems that it is difficult to get so much money from Marine. Or ask Whitebeard. Marine contacted him a few times, all kinds of tricks, wanting him to release Akainu first, and then give money later, or just ask a bunch of questions, and simply stop trading with Marine. Moran didn't believe it, and Akainu in this special period, 50 billion Baileys cannot be sold. Naval Headquarters Marineford Naval Marshal's Office. Gulululu. At this time, Crane Vice Admiral looked at the phone bug in his hand, like a drowning phone bug, rolled his eyes and made a gurgling sound, and just froze in place, motionless. Crane Vice Admiral, who came back to his senses, looked at Sengoku with a serious expression on his face and said, "The phone bug has this kind of reaction. The phone bug on the opposite side should be in the sea, and our Marine talked to him thoroughly, it collapsed." Sengoku said with a dark face. The B********** D threw away the phone bug. If he doesn't want to trade with our Marine, he should be planning to trade with Whitebeard. Crane Vice Admiral echoed. That's right, besides our Marine, only Whitebeard is willing to trade with him. Other investors will not take this muddy water at this time. The B******** D. Boom. Ha 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 ha. Sengoku was furious, slapping the table and cursing, but Garp sat on the sofa and laughed wildly. That guy is obviously taking advantage of the fire. He knows that even if we Marine don't give it, Whitebeard is willing to give it, so the right to choose has never been not on our Marine side. Although the current situation is very unfavorable to Marine, Garp is inexplicably happy. He still hopes that Whitebeard can win this war, who made Ace his grandson. Sengoku looked at Garp, who couldn't stop smiling, and said angrily, "No one will think you are dumb if you don't talk. We have already cut off contact with that B******************. D. Suru, what do you think we should do next?" Sengoku asked with a tired look, rubbing his brows. Crane Vice Admiral thought for a while before saying, "Contact Marine in Sabaody Archipelago and ask them to send a phone bug to Moran." Sengoku frowned and thought about it, but couldn't think of any other way, so he could only pick up the phone bug and contact the Marine of Sabaody Archipelago. Clap. Over the mangrove tree number 20 to 13 in Sabaody Archipelago, there was no cloud in the sky, and suddenly a lightning bolt appeared without warning, and flashed across the sky. It turned out that Moran turned into a lightning bolt and was on his way to the racked bar in Red Tree No. 13. A few flashes landed at the door of the racked bar. After Moran just threw away the phone bug, he realized that he didn't have Whitebeard's contact information, so he had to ask Shaki. There should be a phone bug here that can contact Whitebeard. Guji. Moran saw the closed bar door, but it was not locked, so he opened it and walked in, only to find that there were not only Rayleigh, Shaki, but also Straw Hat crew inside. Moran looked at a group of people gathered together, who seemed to be discussing something, and asked with a smile, "Yo, what are you doing?" Rayleigh didn't answer his question, but asked nervously, Hey. Didn't you say you have a month? Why did you turn around and find it?" It's not that he didn't owe others money before, but what he owed was only a small amount before, and with his strength, others didn't dare to ask him for debts, but this guy is different. The money is not a small amount, and now Rayleigh is unconsciously nervous when he sees Moran. Moran looked at the nervous Rayleigh, and teased, "Rayleigh, why didn't I realize that you are so timid?" Moran added with a grin, "I'm not here today to find you, I'm here to find Shaki, don't be nervous and rest assured." After knowing that Moran was not with him, Rayleigh breathed a sigh of relief, and thought to himself, "I have to make money quickly and give the money to this B*********** D, otherwise I will be worried every day, and the old man can't bear it." Shaki heard that he was looking for her, so he asked directly, "What information do you have for me? Do you want to buy it from me?" Moran was speechless. "Do I buy information every time I come here? Ask for flowers." After thinking about it, it seems that it is true that every time he comes, he wants to buy some information, so he comes to the bar to rip off the bar. Thinking of this, Moran rubbed his nose and said, "This time I'm not buying information, but I want to ask if you can contact Whitebeard. I want to make a deal with him." Shaki asked curiously, "Can you talk about any deal? If there is nothing wrong, I don't want to contact that old monster." As soon as Moran heard this, he knew there was something going on. He didn't hide anything, and said directly and generously, "Marine Admiral Akainu is in my hands, ask him if he is interested in making a deal with me." Hearing what Moran said, Shaki knew it was a big deal, so he didn't dare to delay at all, and turned around and went back to the room to look for things. After Shaki returned to the room, Rayleigh asked suspiciously, "Could it be that you are planning to hand over Akainu to Whitebeard?" Moran rolled his eyes and said speechlessly, "How could I give it to Whitebeard for nothing? Akainu, I plan to sell it to Whitebeard, 50 billion Bailey loves it or not." According to this guy's personality, selling Akainu should be true, but if selling Akainu, Marine should be more suitable. Why did he go to Whitebeard? Rayleigh couldn't figure it out and asked directly, "Shouldn't you sell Akainu to Marine? After all, Marine is so rich, they should be willing to pay 50 billion Baileys." Moran got angry when he mentioned this, but he still pretended to be casual and nonsense. "Last time I was tricked by Vice Admiral, and first didn't trust Marine. I heard that Whitebeard is very trustworthy, so I came to talk to him first." Talk to Whitebeard. Negotiations haven't started yet, so we can't reveal the details. Anyway, no one knows about the collapse of his talks with Marine. Let Whitebeard think that he has a second buyer, so that he can take the initiative in his own hands. Although Rayleigh still had a suspicious expression on his face, he didn't ask any more questions. At this time, Shaki also came out with a long Whitebeard phone bug. The phone bug was in the middle of a call. Shaki should be in the room with Whitebeard first. I took it out after talking on the phone. Chapter 168. Poor Ghost Whitebeard, transaction failed. Gu la la la. As soon as Shaki handed the phone bug to Moran, Whitebeard's unique laugh came from the phone bug's mouth. The title I gave you, Moran boy, do you feel satisfied? Whitebeard didn't talk about the deal immediately, but first talked about helping him promote it in New World. Grandma is tearing her legs. These old guys are hard to deal with. As the old saying goes, one is a thief if one is old. This is absolutely true. Moran cursed inwardly. Moran said unhappily. Whitebeard, don't give me the favor card. It's your own nonsense. It's none of my business. After finishing speaking, he added. If you insist on saying this, Lousy also helped you clean up the door and killed the Blackbeard pirates, so we are even. Whitebeard helped him promote in New World. Even if Moran is not in New World now, his reputation is no worse than that of 4 emperors. It is indeed Whitebeard's credit for him to gain a firm foothold in New World, but it is not Moran's request. Whitebeard did it, and Moran also helped them kill the Blackbeard pirates, so Moran said that Lousy doesn't owe you Whitebeard. Gu la la la. Seeing that Moran didn't take the bait, Whitebeard laughed loudly and said, Boy Moran, you really are just as rumored. You are AB*****************. D. How are you willing to hand over Akainu to me? Just tell me. Shaki said that Akainu was in this guy's hands, and he came to him at this time, and he must use Akainu to make a deal, but he didn't know what Moran wanted. Moran didn't hesitate, and said directly, 5 billion Baileys, how about I send Akainu directly to you? 5 billion Baileys. UB******************. D. Why don't you grab it? Before Whitebeard could speak, there was an angry curse on the other side of the phone bug. Margot. Whitebeard yelled, and after the other party quieted down, he said, Moran boy, if you want land and the like, we can still talk about transactions. If you want money, I don't think there is any need for us to continue talking. Quote. Moran asked with a puzzled face. Whitebeard, you are a dignified 4 emperors, and you have dominated the New World for so many years, can't you come up with 50 billion Baileys? Whitebeard's phone bug's eyes popped out with veins, and he regained his composure in an instant. He said in a bad mood, if you want money, there's nothing wrong with it. If you don't want the land, I don't have anything valuable, so I'll make this deal with you. Caw sauce. Moran looked at the phone bug with his eyes closed, with a puzzled look on his face, unable to recover for a long time. He couldn't help but wonder why Whitebeard had no money. Ha 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 ha. At this time, Rayleigh looked at Moran's puzzled face, and laughed loudly. If you say that the 4 emperors in New World are the poorest, it must be Whitebeard, he is simply poorer than me, an old man. Moran stood up puzzled and walked out, saying as he walked, since Whitebeard has no money, I'll leave first. The plan fell through again. Sure enough, impulsiveness is the devil. If I had known, I would not have been so impulsive to throw the phone bug. Now it is a bit difficult. Moran thought a little embarrassed. Rayleigh and others watched Moran walk away, but did not keep him. After all, they still had to discuss how to save Ace at Naval Headquarters. Moran didn't rush back in a hurry, but walked back slowly. He was still wondering who else could afford Akainu besides Marine. Suddenly a group of Marine soldiers approached. Moran raised his head and glanced, and found that the leader was his old acquaintance, the Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral Flying Squirrel. Yo, Flying Squirrel, Vice Admiral, why did you come to see me? Moran guessed what he was doing when he saw the Flying Squirrel, but he still pretended not to know and asked. This guy used to be his subordinate, but now he has transformed into the 5th Emperor, the Dragon Emperor, who dominates the New World. The Flying Squirrel looked at Moran with a complicated face, and secretly sighed in his heart. The Flying Squirrel took 2 steps forward, took out a phone bug and handed it to Moran, saying, Marshal Sengoku asked me to hand over this phone bug to you, and Marshal Sengoku asked me to take a message. He agreed with what you said. Moran didn't answer the call bug, but said with a regretful expression, You are a step late, I have already talked with Whitebeard, and you Marine are capricious, I can't believe you. Quote. Seeing that Moran was about to leave, the Flying Squirrel hurriedly stepped forward to stop him and said, Dragon Emperor Moran, wait a moment, I have something to discuss. The Flying Squirrel was so anxious that he even used his honorific title. He knew what would happen if he didn't succeed this time, so he went all out. Moran looked at the Flying Squirrel in front of him, his eyes flashed red conqueror's hockey. He pressed down on the Flying Squirrel in a circle, and said calmly, Get out of the way. It's over, will we be killed? The Marine soldiers behind the Flying Squirrel, although Moran's hockey didn't target them, they still felt the oppressive feeling like mountains and rivers, trembling and stammering. At this time, the Flying Squirrel was sweating profusely, his face was pale and bloodless, but he still held on to the pressure, not allowing himself to kneel down, and said with difficulty, Please give us Marine one more chance, this conversation will definitely to your satisfaction. The Flying Squirrel is already cursing in his heart, you go to mess with this 753 scary guy, but let us little shrimps face him, Grandma will never accept this kind of task again next time no matter what. Moran also felt that it was almost done, so he put away the conqueror's hockey, took the phone bug and walked directly towards the ship. Without looking back, he said, Let your mentally handicapped marshal contact me as soon as possible, I will only stay here for half a day. The Flying Squirrel breathed a sigh of relief as he watched Moran walk away slowly, and said in his heart, Moran's strength is really getting more and more terrifying. Vice Admiral, The flying squirrel, you are so powerful, you dare to stop the Dragon Emperor Moran, we were so scared that our legs went limp. Yes, 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 as expected of the flying squirrel Vice Admiral. Hearing the flattery from his subordinates, the flying squirrel cursed inwardly. Lousy almost knelt down just now, what an A**. But he would not explain this kind of thing, but ordered. We still have things to do later, let's go back to Sabaody Archipelago's station and wait for orders. It's Vice Admiral, the flying squirrel. Boo boo boo, boo boo. Before Moran had gone far, the phone bug rang, calling so quickly, it seemed that Marine still valued Akainu very much. Marine has been dragging ahead, and Moran thought that the battle for Marshall was advanced, and it was the ghost of Marine's own people. Chapter 169. Finally sold Akainu, the next stop is Naval Headquarters. Mossy, I'm Alphad Moran, Marshall mentally handicapped, if you have something to say, talk and fart, I still have things to do. Sengoku just wanted to say something when he heard this, but he was glared at by Vice Admiral, and immediately lost his temper, and said directly, 50 billion Bailey is ready, if you agree, I will send someone to send it to you. Moran didn't agree immediately, but said nonsense. I'm sorry, the retarded Marshal, I have already promised Whitebeard, 50 billion Baileys sold Akainu to them. After being fooled by them for a whole day, how could Moran let them buy it back so easily? At least he would have to pay for some mental damage. Hearing this, Sengoku broke his defense instantly, his face darkened and he roared angrily, you be asterisk 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 D, what do you want? If you want 60 billion Baileys, I will wait for you at the Sabaody Archipelago for 2 hours. If I don't see the money within 2 hours, I'm sorry. Moran didn't want to talk nonsense to them, lest he be caught again. They Marine pit, hang up the phone bug directly after finishing talking. At the Naval Headquarters office, Sengoku looked at the phone bug with his eyes closed, as if his strength had been drained from his whole body, and he leaned back on the chair of 687. He has never been so powerless as he is now. 60 billion Baileys is a huge amount of money for their Marines. After scolding Akainu 100 times in my heart, I opened my mouth and said, the Bailey on the flying squirrel is still short of 10 billion Baileys. Kizaru, you are faster, so you can take him there. Kizaru reluctantly stood up, walked out of the office, and cursed in his heart, why am I the one who came into contact with that guy again? He hates his ability on the first level, why is my ability so fast? So fast. After Moran returned to the boat, he took out a recliner and lay down on it. He shouted, and the two girls who were feeding and massaging both returned to their positions. Moran squinted his eyes comfortably, lying down and waiting for Marine to come to deliver the money. He wasn't worried at all that Marine would not come. Even if he really didn't come, he would have nothing to lose, the worst would be to sell it to Whitebeard at a lower price. 2 hours later, Moran, who was sleeping drowsily, was gently pushed by Kai Tong, and when he woke up, Moran looked at the delicate little face close at hand, and leaned over to say, Bah. Kai Tong, who was attacked, blushed slightly, turned around shyly and said, Master Moran, Marine's people have come, and they are waiting for you under the boat. The little girl Chatong is too thin-skinned and shy at every turn. She was obviously one of the first 2 people to be summoned, but she still hasn't taken it down until now, so she has to find a time for a night attack. Looking at the slender figure, Moran sighed secretly. Moran stood up and went to the railing, looked down and saw that the surroundings were full of Marine soldiers. There were at least a few hundred of them, with Kizaru and Flying Squirrel leading the way. Moran jumped down and walked towards Kizaru step by step and asked, Kizaru sees your battle, are you planning to bring someone to arrest me? Kizaru shook his head quickly, pointed to the mountains of boxes not far away, and explained, these soldiers are all here to carry the boxes. If you let me move them by myself, let alone 2 hours, I can't move them all in one day. Moran looked in the direction Kizaru was pointing at, saw the pile of boxes, and was immediately happy. He walked over and waved his hands to put away the boxes. After glancing at the string of numbers in the system, he turned around and ordered said, Van Oka, go and take that dog down and give it to Marine. Van Oka turned and walked into the cabin, and took Akainu out after a while. Van Oka did not disembark but pushed Akainu off the boat. Akainu fell directly on the bank and rolled several times before being helped by a group of Marines. Stand up. At this time, Akainu's head was bare, his clothes were tattered, and his body was covered with injuries. Those who didn't know where he thought he was a beggar, bad came from. The injury on his body was not done in Impel down, but during the detention, this guy yelled like a mad dog, and Moran couldn't take it, he just held him to death, and this guy stopped. Seeing that Akainu was still wearing handcuffs, Kizaru looked at Moran and asked, you have also received the money, Akainu's handcuff key, can you give it to me now? Moran didn't cheat and threw a key to Kizaru after jumping into the boat. He didn't worry at all that Akainu would go crazy after being uncuffed. B*********** D, go to hell with me. Akainu, who was handcuffed, roared with magma coming out of his arm, waved his magma fist, and punched Moran's boat with one punch. Kizaru seemed to have known that Akainu would make a move, and instantly came to Akainu. A ball of golden light appeared from under his feet, and a whip kick hit the magma fist. Bump. Spider webs quickly appeared under the two people's feet, and the aftermath of the collision of fists and feet blew Moran's boat away from the shore, and liquid magma splashed everywhere. If you want to be caught by him again, then I won't stop you again. If you are caught again, no one will come to save you, you idiot. After Kizaru reminded, he stepped aside. After persuasion and persuasion, if he still wants to die, he will not stop the dog again. Akainu, who was scolded for a while, gradually regained his senses. Thinking of the group of people on Moran's boat, he knew that he was no match alone, so he didn't charge up, but shouted in Moran's direction. Alphad hyphenation point one day, Moran, I'll catch you B asterisk 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 D. Moran just glanced at him, and asked mockingly, you Marines are all going together, and you may not be our opponents. What are you using to catch me? A-hole. Hearing this, Akainu immediately broke his guard and cursed angrily, but instead of rushing over, he glared at Moran with cannibalistic eyes, commanding that he could really eat Moran. Cut. Boring. Moran looked at Akainu and just talked about it, not rushing to fight him desperately, and he just sold Akainu to Marine. At this time he was too embarrassed to arrest people, and immediately lost interest, originally thinking about whether he could arrest him again, and sell it to Whitebeard at a lower price. It seems that this idea cannot be realized. Little ones, set sail. It's the captain. After the pirate ship sailed out for a while, Robin came over and asked, Captain, shall we go directly to naval headquarters? Chapter 170. 4 consecutive lottery draws. Moran thought for a while and ordered, sail directly to naval headquarters, don't need to be too fast, as long as you can arrive before noon tomorrow. If you go too fast, they will arrive first before Whitebeard fights with Marine, that would be embarrassing. I see. Robin responded, twisted his waist, and walked away coquettishly, making Moran's eyes straight, but he didn't follow. After all, he planned to win another one at night. Go to the recliner and lie down again, turn on the salted fish mode. Moran's life is so simple and unpretentious. The Zhang Wanli sailed slowly on the sea level, and night fell silently. After everyone had dinner, it was already midnight. After eating, everyone was on the deck enjoying the beautiful scenery of 223. At night, Moran volunteered and said, I will watch the night tonight, you all go back to your room to rest. Van Oka glanced at Moran who was lying on the deck chair lazily stroking his stomach, and said mockingly, come on, Captain, every time you watch the night, you can't see anyone in the middle of the night, and you only put one hand on your waist the next day. With one hand on the wall, he slowly appeared on the deck. Do you call this a night watch? Ha 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 hiccup. Van Oka's words successfully broke through. In this quiet night, everyone laughed wildly and unscrupulously. Boom. Thump. Van Oka successfully fell into the sea again. This guy has been making fun of Moran in various ways, and he will give him a serious lesson every time, but this guy just doesn't have a long memory, and he will taunt whenever he finds an opportunity. When Van Oka climbed up, his clothes were soaked, and he was shivering from the cold at night. He looked at Moran with a resentful face and complained, Captain, it is late at night, and the weather is so cold. If Chen gets sick and comes to you, are you responsible? Moran has never been merciful to him, and directly told Luo, go and check him, and if he is not sick, let him soak in the sea for a few hours until he becomes sick. Captain, be yourself. After playing on the deck for a while, everyone went back to their rooms to rest. Moran was the only one left on the deck, lying on the recliner with his eyes squinted, counting the stars and looking at the moon. He was so bored. The system opens the personal page. Moran, who was idle and bored, finally remembered that he still has a system, and his system is probably the most inexistent system. Summoning lottery system. Host. Alphad. Moran. Identity. Captain of Wanjian Pirates. Age. 21. Abilities. Psychic ability, Thunder Fruit ability. Advanced Observation Hockey. 7,508 thousandths. Advanced Armament Hockey. 7,508 thousandths. Advanced Conqueror's Hockey. 7,608 thousandths. Advanced Physical Skills. 7,508 thousandths. Marine 6 Styles. Moonwalk, Drama, 7,800D. Great Swordsman. 7,508 thousandths. Strength. Admiral Advanced. Bailey. 125.730 billion. Devil Fruit. 4. The strength is already at the 4 Emperors level. It is more difficult to improve as you go to the back. You can only slowly accumulate experience in the amount of hockey. Now facing the young Whitebeard, Moran said that he is not timid. Swordsmanship should be it's almost like an eagle. The system uses all 4 devil fruits for the lottery. Drawing in progress. A circular disc that only Moran could see floating in front of Moran, with various prizes from all worlds on it. Open black lens bracket. Congratulations to host for getting Senju Hashirama's blood succession limit. Wood style close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Congratulations to host for getting the amount of chakra in the heyday of Senju Hashirama close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Congratulations to host for getting a pair of Mangekyo Sharingan close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Congratulations to host for getting a pair of Rinnegan close black lens bracket. After the lottery draw was completed, Moran asked with joy in his heart, what kind of ability is this pair of Sharingan in the system? Host's pair of Sharingan abilities are Kamui in the left eye and Tsukuyomi in the right eye. If I fuse with Sharingan, will I become blind in the future? This host, please rest assured that you will not become blind by fusing wood style and Sharingan at the same time. If you are not at ease, you can buy another pair of Sharingan from the system store. After synthesizing Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, you don't have to worry about becoming blind after fusing. Blind man's problem. Although Moran knew that the system wanted to steal his money, but for the sake of safety, and now he is not a master who is short of money, he said directly, the system will buy me a pair of Sharingan directly, and synthesize Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. Purchase Mangekyo Sharingan after deducting 2 billion Baileys. Congratulations to the successful purchase of Host. Does the host need to craft Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan now? Give me the synthesis directly, and then give me the fusion of these abilities. Ding. Congratulations to the successful integration of Host. Is this the end? Moran's face was full of black question marks. Otherwise, you'll be comfortable if you're in pain for a long time, right? Don't. Since you don't have to suffer, who would make fun of themselves? Moran's eyes turned into Sharingan for a while, and Sharingan for a while. Although Moran didn't feel it at all, some instinctive abilities appeared in his heart, but now that everyone is sleeping, let's not try the power of these abilities. Bar. Moran didn't care about these abilities anymore. When the lights in everyone's room were turned off, Moran came to the door of Chitong's room lightly, turned into lightning and drilled in through the keyhole, went to Temiao's vigil, and put his arms around the girl to sleep. Isn't it fragrant? The Wanjian pirates are slowly sailing towards Naval Headquarters 1.3. Everyone on the deck looks weak, and all of them have a pair of panda eyes. It is obvious that they did not sleep well last night. Everyone. Breakfast is ready. Go and wake up Moran, big brother and sister Chitong, we can have breakfast. Blue Bonnie said from the kitchen door, showing a small head. Everyone was speechless when they heard Lan Bonnie's words, and secretly sighed in their hearts. This little girl slept so hard last night that she can look so good today. They all looked listless, and only Blue Bonnie looked energetic and radiant. Seeing that everyone is silent, Robin Kaido, Bonnie doesn't care about those two guys, we can just eat by ourselves, they won't wake up until noon. Chapter 171. Naval Headquarters debates justice and evil. Near Marineford at noon. At this time, the Wanjian pirates were slowly approaching Naval Headquarters Marineford, and Moran had already got up and lay on the deck chair, basking in the sun happily. Van Oka on the observation deck took his sniper rifle and glanced here and there. Suddenly, the shadow of an island appeared in his sniper rifle scope. Moran said, Captain, I saw the island, it should be Marineford, should we go there now? Moran stood up immediately after hearing the words, looked into the distance, there was indeed a small black spot, and ordered, you wait around, I will go to see the excitement first, don't go in without my order, do you understand? Understood the captain. Moran slowly disappeared in place, not flying away or turning into lightning, but disappearing without a trace. Open black lens bracket Naval Headquarters Marineford close black lens bracket. A Titan Vice Admiral, looking at the sea of people in front of him, shouted, don't be careless, no matter what happens, there are only 3 hours left, and everything will be over by then. Ho 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 ho. The Marine soldiers below were full of high morale, and the roar spread far and far. At this time, Naval Headquarters Marineford, the Marines have gathered all the elite combat power, surrounded by 50 warships as promised by Marineford, and the harbor is covered with countless heavy artillery. The square of Marineford is convened by 100,000 soldiers from all over the world. Among the well-known Marines, 8 Titan Marines and several 7 warlords of the sea are in the front row of Marine. That's, admirals, what's going on, this suffocating sense of oppression. The soldiers below felt a suffocating sense of oppression, which was just the unconscious aura emanating from the strong, that's all. The 3 admirals walked slowly, directly below the execution platform, where Marine's highest combat power, the Naval Headquarters, 3 admirals sat in command. The 3 of them didn't need to make a move. The bruised nose and swollen face have greatly reduced the morale that has been gathered with great difficulty. This is all the power Marine can mobilize. In order to prevent the Whitebeard pirates from taking back Ace, they gather here, waiting for a decisive battle with the Whitebeard pirates. Ace was covered with scars, and 2 executioners supported him, and slowly brought him to the execution platform. After going up to the execution platform, Ace directly knelt on the execution platform. Hey, look, Fire Fist Ace is out. He is the man who may become the fuse that shakes the world war. At the same time, it is also the culprit who controls the fate of the world. No matter those who were watching the live broadcast or those who were at the scene, seeing Ace being brought out, they all started talking about it. Sengoku and Garp were walking towards the execution platform at this time. Sengoku turned his head and asked, Garp, I want to tell you all this, is it all right? Whatever you want, the old man is going downstairs. Garp said with an ugly face and left. He also knew that he couldn't change everything at all, and he couldn't bear to see this scene. Can only choose to hide aside. Sengoku walked to the execution platform and said to the 2 executioners, get out of the way, all of you. Yes. Bring over the phone bug. Yes. In order to further arouse the fighting spirit of the Marines, Sengoku stepped forward with a phone bug and said, I have something to convey to you in advance, Tekka's Ace, about the significance of this man dying here today. Crane Vice Admiral looked to the side. Garp with an ugly face comforted, it's not your fault. Ha 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 ha, a woman at a time like this is really gentle. Suru. Ace, report your father's name. Ace glanced at Sengoku, closed his eyes and said, my daddy is Whitebeard. Wrong. Ace closed his eyes and roared, nothing wrong, only Whitebeard, no one else. At this time Sengoku said again, at that time, we kept our eyes wide open and desperately searched for the man's child who might be left on a certain island. With the little information and possibility that CP only had, we had a good understanding of the newborn baby and the soon-to-be baby. The babies who were born and their mothers have been thoroughly investigated by military training, but nothing has been found. It is no wonder that you were born by your mother in exchange for her life. It can also be said that your mother has ulterior motives. He deceived our eyes. No, he deceived the eyes of the world. In the North Blue there is an island named Batherilla. Your mother is named Potter Casti Rouge. This woman's behavior is far beyond contrary to our common sense and wholeheartedly for the child. He actually let the child stay in the womb for 20 months, and then gave birth to you, exhausted and died on the spot. 1 year and 3 months after the death of his father, he inherited the most evil bloodline in the world. The baby is born. It is you. You can't help but know that your father is Gall D. Roger. Just as Sengoku finished speaking, the phone bug in his hand suddenly disappeared, and Moran slowly emerged beside him. Moran said to the phone bug, "First, let me introduce myself. My name is Alphad. Moran used to be a marine, but because I saw celestial dragons in the Sabaody archipelago, I wanted to rob and kill a little girl who was only 15 or 16 years old. After saving the little girl with my body in front of her, I offended the celestial dragons, so I was ruthlessly abandoned by Marine. Now I am a pirate, and people like to call me Dragon King." After Moran finished the introduction, he pointed to Ace and said, "Then everyone knows me. Let's talk about this guy, the guy next to me 20 years ago, let alone a human. He was just a cell. He didn't kill, no promise, has never done anyone wrong, let alone did anything wrong. So I want to ask you, Marine, where does his evil come from, and where does his crime come from? UB asterisk 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 D, shut up." Sengoku came back to his senses and slapped Moran angrily, but it passed directly through Moran's body and couldn't touch Moran at all. "I don't know what you Marines are afraid of, but all I know is that it's not your family that can be hurt. No one has the right to choose their own birth, and no one is born evil. It's you Marine who put this evil label on him, so he now the evil pirates." Moran paused for a while and continued. "Then I would like to ask you Marines, what is evil and what is justice? Could it be that whoever you Marines say is evil, and whoever you say is righteous is righteous?" Chapter 172. The whole world is boiling up. Hey, he just said that his name is Alphad Moran, isn't that the 5th emperor of the New World, the Dragon Emperor? Why did he appear here? Before the Whitebeard pirates came, another 5 emperors came first. If he came to help Whitebeard, wouldn't our Marine be finished? You are still concerned about this, don't you all hear what this guy just said? The Marines below were all whispering and discussing, some were talking about Moran's identity, some were talking about what Moran said, and suddenly the whole square became a mess. Sengoku blew his beard and stared at the side, and slapped Moran with a door-like slap, but he couldn't touch Moran, no matter whether it was covering Hawkeye or what, couldn't touch Moran. The dark side is hidden, and only let others see their bright side. Moran has long been displeased with this group of hypocritical Marines. He will feel uncomfortable if he does not expose some black material when he has this opportunity. Moran didn't bird Sengoku, and continued to break the news. 20 years ago in South Blue Basilila Island, they were investigating in name, but secretly they didn't know how many innocent babies and unborn babies were executed. You just watch when it comes to their bright side, that is what they want you to see, but the dark side is well hidden by them, and basically you people can't see it. Moran stopped and glanced at the surrounded Marine, ignored them and continued. I'm telling you a story. In West Blue O'Hara 20 years ago, there was a group of archaeologists, they were exploring the history, there are ordinary civilians, children, old people, and everyone on the island. Because the exploration of history touched the bottom line of the world ZF, they were directly destroyed by the buster call of Marine, including the people in the island. Only one person survived on the entire island. 8-year-old Nico Robin. The surviving Nico Robin was only 8 years old. She was accused of destroying 6 Marine warships. A reward of 79 million Baileys was offered, and she was named as a demon with a different name O'Hara, and she was charged with random judgment. Is this the justice of your Marine? Moran looked at Marine below, and shouted loudly. You Marines are full of sins. What qualifications do you have to convict others? Cut off his phone bug. Don't let him continue talking. Crane Vice Admiral saw Sengoku who was mad by Moran, and hurriedly ordered. Hey, Mossy, huh. Why can't you talk anymore? Moran, who said it rightly, was still looking at the phone bug with a puzzled face. Sengoku blew his beard and stared at the side, and shouted angrily. You be asterisk 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 D, have you said enough? Moran said without raising his head. There's one more thing to say, but the quality of your Marine's phone bugs doesn't seem to be good enough. B asterisk 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 D, you are going to die for me. Shockwave. 2 thorny spears. Dark Hound. Light speed kick. 4 people rushed towards Moran from 4 directions, and each launched a fierce attack on a place on Moran's body. Bump. Akainu's lava fist collided with Sengoku's shockwave palm, Aokiji's 2-thorn spear collided with Kizaru's light speed kick, and the 4 people were simultaneously hit by the recoil from the collision. They flew upside down and landed under the execution platform. From a distance, it looked like 4 people were thrown upside down by Moran at the same time. The 4 people who landed on the ground all looked confused. Sengoku thought for a while and guessed. This should be this guy's ability. I tried to cover Hawkeye but I couldn't touch him. It should be a space-type ability. At this time Aokiji reminded. Marshal Sengoku, have you forgotten that he is a Thunder Fruit-capable user? Quote. Sengoku was left speechless. The 3 admirals and Marshal Sengoku shot at the same time, and they were all sent flying backwards. Could this be the strength of the 5 emperors? What do we Marine do to fight against this monster? It's impossible to win. It's impossible to win against this monster. The Marine soldiers below had doubts about Marine's justice because of what Moran said, and their morale was low. Now seeing this scene, they lost all fighting spirit. A Titan Vice Admiral saw that the morale of a group of soldiers was very low, so he stood up and said, "Cheer up, don't believe what a pirate says. Pirates are evil people, and what they say is unbelievable." Asking for flowers. However, no matter how the Titan Vice Admiral yelled, the Marine soldiers on the square did not regain their morale. They are neither blind nor foolish. As long as you see the reaction of Marshal Sengoku just now, you can guess that what Moran said is probably true. Ho 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 ho. Big news, definitely big news. First didn't expect Marine to have such an unknown side. Don't worry about the headlines this time. This is definitely an unprecedented big news. Brother, have you recorded everything that guy said just now? Can you make a copy for me? I just forgot to record it because the news was too shocking. The difference from Naval Headquarters Square is that the reporters who were watching the live broadcast at this time all shouted excitedly and recorded every word Moran said. Let the newspaper of what you said just now appear. This guy is still as crazy as ever. Whitebeard hasn't come yet. I wonder if he will fight with Marine first. Doflamingo looked at Moran on the execution platform and let out his unique laugh. Hey hee hee hee, I hope he fights directly with Marine, and it's best if he fights with Marine, so that both sides will be hurt. Then I can use this B********************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** pair of hateful eyes and smiled. I think the Straw Hat Kid and Kid are the two supernovas who are crazy. They even dare to kill celestial dragons. Boa Hancock also interrupted and commented. Doflamingo glanced at her and mocked, only a stupid woman like you would believe that the celestial dragons were killed by supernova, that guy Moran was there at the time, and if nothing else happened, supernova was just two culprits. Boa Hancock whispered to himself, is that true? Boa Hancock didn't respond to Doflamingo's ridicule, but stared blankly at Moran on the execution platform, and suddenly thought of something, his face flushed slightly, and he was completely caught in his own fantasy. Chapter 173, Whitebeard's Grand Fleet arrives at Naval Headquarters. Under the execution platform, Sengoku stared at Moran with his lantern-like eyes and shouted, Alphad Moran, what exactly do you want to do here? I was just here to watch the fun, but you Marines are too shameless, even me, a pirate, can't stand it anymore. Moran was talking nonsense, it doesn't matter whether Marine believes that he is just here to watch the fun, it's his business, anyway, he didn't really come to get hot. Sengoku's eyes seemed to spew out flames, and he yelled at Moran, you be asterisk 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 D, stop talking nonsense, our Marine's justice will not allow you to slander. I can't see the justice of your Marines. I only see that you Marines are doing things worse than pirates in the name of justice. You Marines dare to go to the Sabaody archipelago and feel your conscience and say that your Marines are justice. Is it? After Moran finished speaking, he added, if you don't dare, don't talk to me about justice. Celestial dragons are 1,000 times more evil than pirates. Sabaody archipelago is like hell, and you righteous Marines are not only ignorant of these crimes and even become the strongest backing of celestial dragons. Whenever someone dares to resist celestial dragons 21, your Marine will send Admiral to kill or capture these people, even without a single crime. I am one of the victims, this is Marine, but he still talks about justice every day. When you say this, don't you feel ashamed? No one in the entire naval headquarters can stand up to refute Moran, because this is the current Marine, they dare not resist the world ZF, they will never have the right to speak, and if they do not have the right to speak, they will always be like dogs, and they will be called come and go. At this time, Sengoku was no longer yelling about justice, but lowered his head with a gloomy face, wondering what he was thinking. Moran's throat was about to smoke. He shook the phone bug and still couldn't speak, so he simply gave up the idea of continuing to break the news. Without the phone bug, his throat was almost hoarse, and he turned around and walked towards Ace step by step. What do you want? The two executioners wanted to stop them, but Moran just glared at them, and the two rolled their eyes and fell down straight. Bang, bang. At this moment, there were only two people left on the execution platform, Moran and Ace. Moran walked to Ace's side and sat down on his buttocks. Moran thought to himself, the scenery here is good, I just sit here and watch the fun, anyway, Marine can't do anything about him. Sengoku and the three admirals saw that Moran was just sitting, not talking or saving Ace, and they had no intention of going up, mainly because they hadn't figured out what ability Moran had, and it would be futile to go up and stop him before he figured it out. Ace on the execution platform, looking at Moran next to him, broke the calm first and asked, what are you doing here? The corners of Moran's lips curled up slightly, and he said with a sinister smile, I'm here to save you and also to kill you. If your father Whitebeard is willing to cooperate, I'm here to save you. If your father Whitebeard is unwilling to cooperate, I will come to kill you. Ace asked with an ugly face. You be asterisk 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 D really has no good intentions, I'm like this now, what do you want to do with me? Moran didn't explain, but smiled mysteriously and said, you don't need to know that much, anyway, you are already like this now, even if you know it can't change it, right? Suddenly a red light flashed in Moran's eyes, he raised his head to look in the direction of the Gate of Justice, and said to himself, is it finally here? What's coming? Hearing Moran's words, Ace's face changed. He didn't want to see Whitebeard come to rescue him, and looked at Moran anxiously, hoping it wasn't what he thought. Ace prayed secretly in his heart. Moran glanced at him, and explained, Whitebeard's pirate group and its members have now surrounded from the direction of the port. Whitebeard is really good to you sons. The members of the Whitebeard pirates do not have Moran's ability to carry a ship. If they want to enter Naval Headquarters Marineford, they can only open the Gate of Justice. Just now he found that the Gate of Justice has been opened, and there are dozens of a pirate ship slowly approached the port of Naval Headquarters. At this time, Sengoku, who was interrupted by Moran, was staring at Moran on the execution platform, in case Moran did something, so that he could go up and stop it in time. Suddenly, a Naval Headquarters officer ran up behind Sengoku, sweating profusely and reported to Sengoku. Marshal Sengoku reports that the Gate of Justice has not received any instructions, and it opened automatically, and we cannot be contacted. Power room. What did you say? When Sengoku received the news, his expression changed drastically, and he thought inwardly, Whitebeard may have arrived nearby, but I don't know where he will attack from. I don't know why the whole Marineford is quiet, the atmosphere is extremely tense, and the building is full of wind and rain. It's so quiet. Boa Hancock looked at the whole square and couldn't help but mutter to himself. It's so unnatural. Doflamingo interjected, looking at the quiet square. A marine soldier was on a high platform, holding a monocular, observing the surroundings, and suddenly a pirate ship appeared on the misty sea level. The marine soldier quickly shouted, "Here we come. Woo! Everyone, get ready for battle." As the scene report sounded, all the cannons turned to the port, and the marines in the square unconsciously clenched the weapons in their hands, because they knew that when the war started, the only thing that could give them a sense of completeness was the weapons in their hands. Everyone looked at the sea level, and immediately saw the black pirate ship. The marines in the square swallowed hard, trying to calm down, but their hands and feet trembled uncontrollably. It suddenly appeared. Where did it come from? Sengoku said to himself with an ugly face. However, except for Moran, no one found that they came from the bottom of the sea after coating, and the black pirate ship slowly approached Marineford. It's a large fleet of pirate ships. Find out where Whitebeard is. However, Marine searched around, but only found the captains of Whitebeard's pirate group, and Whitebeard's Moby DK was nowhere to be found. Chapter 174. Whitebeard arrives at Naval Headquarters. A Marine officer held a binoculars, looked at the pirate ship in the direction of the port, and reported, "That's the Ranger Doma, Lei Ching Makugai, Brother D. Carlban, the big Vortex Spider Squad, Nakadu. They are first-class masters, each of whom is a famous captain in the New World, with a total of 43 pirate ships." The officer watched for a while and reported, "Still no sign of Whitebeard and the captains." A Marine next to him was holding a phone bug, pointing all of these to the phone bug. After the report was finished, the phone bug said in the voice of Vice Admiral, "I see, you continue to pay attention to their every move, report to me immediately." "It's Crane, Vice Admiral." Doflamingo looked at the black pirate ship and said excitedly, "This is really interesting and exciting." "Come on, Whitebeard." Whitebeard seemed to hear Doflamingo's call, and bubbles popped up one after another on the surface of the sea. The Marine executives heard the movement and basically guessed where Whitebeard was. Crane, Vice Admiral said with an ugly face, "Is the formation wrong? Shadow found on the bottom of the bay. Could it be possible?" Everyone in the square watched in shock. The sea level at the mouth of the bay was about to rise from east to west, and formed a small wave, spreading around in circles. Sengoku looked at the sea surface, gritted his teeth and said, "So, all their ships came from the bottom of the sea after coating." Call out. Bump. The Moby DK is coming. Someone shouted. In fact, anyone who is not blind can see the Moby DK rushing out of the bottom of the sea, flying in the air for a while, and then plunged into the sea. It didn't sink, and it stopped steadily at the mouth of the bay after a while. Just as the first boat came to a stop, the sea started to bubble again. A Marine exclaimed, "Is there still a boat in there?" Bang, bang, bang. Again, 3 more ships from the Whitebeard pirates have invaded the bay. Sure enough, 3 more ships similar to the Moby DK rushed out of the mouth of the bay, and everyone finally saw Whitebeard and the captains. "That's the captain of the first team, Marco. All 14 captains are here." Bang bang bang. Whitebeard came out step by step, and the long knife struck the deck one after another, as if every blow hit the hearts of everyone, making people feel a suffocating sense of oppression. Gu la 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 la. After walking to the bow, Whitebeard stood at the bow and looked at Sengoku and said, "We haven't seen Sengoku for decades. Is my dear son all right?" When Moran saw that Whitebeard had arrived, he secretly released a wood clone to replace the main body on the execution platform, but the main body instantly got into the Kamui space without anyone noticing. Moran also changed his appearance and went to find Whitebeard negotiation. Sengoku said with a disheveled expression, "I never thought he would invade so close." In this way, the layout of their marine will be completely disrupted, and the 50 warships arranged on the periphery will have no effect, so they will lose a lot of combat power. "Wait for me, Ace." After Whitebeard finished speaking, he inserted Kong Yunchi on the deck, put his arms around and put on a horse stance, and began to punch both sides with both fists. Click, click, click. Whitebeard's fist seemed to hit an invisible wall. Where the fist landed, cracks like spider webs appeared out of thin air. Slowly, the surrounding ground trembled and the sea water began to boil. Is it quiet? What happened to the shock just now? Ace looked in the direction of the Whitebeard pirates and yelled. Obviously I ignored the advice and ran out. Why didn't you abandon me? It's my own willfulness that made it like this. Before Ace finished speaking, he was interrupted by Whitebeard. No, I told you to go, son. CBFD. Yes, I heard that too. I heard that too. All the captains on the pirate ship echoed. Is this because the people who don't want to let the pirates under the banner say that? Lan thought secretly when he heard this. In one of the rooms on the Moby DK, Uzumaki suddenly appeared. A black-haired, black-eyed boy with exquisite facial features walked out, with a knife randomly bought from the system space hanging on his waist, and walked towards the deck step by step. Who are you? Moran looks like no one recognizes him at this time, and he was stopped by Margao just as he walked out. Facing Margao's question, Moran said nonsense casually. I'm here to find Whitebeard, get out of the way. The captains who stopped in front of Moran didn't have any intention of getting out of the way. They all stared at him. At this time, Whitebeard said to Margao and the others without looking back, Margao, you all get out of the way. My guy, if he wants to do something, you won't be able to stop him at all. Obviously Whitebeard felt Moran's hidden aura, knowing that he was a guy of the same level as himself, and it was an extraordinary time, so he reminded him not to have any accidents. Although Margao was still alert, he still gave way to Moran. Moran walked towards Whitebeard step by step, and said directly after approaching, I will help you save Ace, but I want you to be in half of New World, including the Fishman Island. Moran didn't say a word after finishing speaking. He gave Whitebeard time to think about it. He has no shortage of money to spend now. Of course, he must be ready to gain a foothold in New World. He only has a few islands in New World, which is too embarrassing. Yes, of course he cannot help, and after Whitebeard is dead, he can go directly to grab Whitebeard's territory, but that would be too much trouble. New World is such a big place, just visit all the islands of Whitebeard, it won't take a year, it's impossible for half a year, not to mention the need to go to the islands to fight down. Today, it can be solved directly here in a day. Why spend a year and a half? After the Summit War is over, he still plans to summon a few people to come over, otherwise, there are too many islands to manage. After Whitebeard thought for a while, he didn't talk about the deal directly, but asked, I don't know a strong person like you, can you tell me who you are? Moran asked with a speechless face. Don't tell me, you've been thinking about it for so long, just wondering who I am. Gu la 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 la. It is inevitable for people to be curious when they are old. Moran raised his head and glanced at Whitebeard, and said angrily, I was the one who called you yesterday, and the current appearance is just a temporary change. Chapter 175. Moran interrupts Aokiji's freezing tsunami. Whitebeard heard the words and looked at Moran's avatar on the execution platform, then lowered his head and took a closer look. Moran, who was only about 1.7 meters tall, asked with an unbelieving expression, isn't that guy sitting on the execution platform? And that guy is at least 2 meters tall, you are so small, if you want to pretend to be someone else, you have to pretend to be like it. Moran explained helplessly. The one on the execution platform is a clone, my ability can become another person, and it's the kind that can't see the flaws at all. Whitebeard was a little dizzy, this is a clone and a transformation, he secretly thought, is there really such a pervert ability in this world? But Whitebeard didn't bother with this issue, and this guy didn't need to lie to him, and Moran was sitting on the execution platform, as long as the guy next to him, 690, was not a fool, he wouldn't pretend to be someone who was there, thinking Whitebeard, who understood this, said directly, as long as you can help me rescue Ace, half of New World's territory my beard is offered with both hands. Hearing this, Moran was overjoyed, saving people is not too simple for a person like him with spatial ability, it is much easier than going to New World to fight for territory. Thinking of this, Moran directly assured, you can fight Marine without worry, I will take advantage of the chaos to rescue Ace later, it is best to fight hard on the execution platform, Ace can't die with my clone there. As for why not rescue Ace now, if you rescue Ace now, this Summit War will not be able to fight, and One Piece without Summit War has no soul. The group of guys suddenly quieted down because of the young man who suddenly appeared. Never seen this guy, and he can stand with Whitebeard, who the hell is he? The Marines on the square saw Moran mockingly appear, and they were all whispering and talking, they were able to stand beside Whitebeard, but their Marines didn't know each other, which also made Sengoku and other senior Marines secretly vigilant. A Marine soldier was lying on the shore, observing the sea water and said, the water level has been rising since just now. The Marine soldier behind heard that he picked up the binoculars and looked towards the sea level, stuttering in fright. Then, what is that? As soon as the Marine soldiers finished speaking, the entire naval headquarters Marineford shook like an earthquake. Garp's face was ugly, and he shouted to remind, it's coming, the seaquake caused by that guy just now has turned into a tsunami. Earthquake man of shock fruit, Whitebeard Edward Newgate. Bang, 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 the tsunami was only 1 meter high at the beginning, and gradually became higher and higher. People in naval headquarters Marineford were all shaken by the impact. What is that? It's a tsunami, so huge. Sengoku looked at the overwhelming tsunami that hit Marineford fiercely, and said with a gloomy face, even if you have the advantage in numbers, don't be confident that you will win. Maybe we will lose in the end. That man has a lot, powerful enough to destroy the world. It's a tsunami. What? The Marines on the square opened their mouths wide and stared wide-eyed at the two sides of naval headquarters Marineford. 2 overwhelming tsunamis came over them. If they were to hit, the Marines on the square would lose at least half of their troops. Foo. Seeing the overwhelming tsunami, Doflamingo was not afraid, but laughed excitedly. What a terrifying power, it is indeed a legendary monster. Search. Aokiji was sitting under the execution platform, suddenly rose into the sky without any warning, opened his arms and shot out 2 icicles. Ice Age. Moran didn't stay idle watching this scene, showing a sinister expression. Sharingan turned around, and a Uzumaki suddenly appeared next to him. Moran's arm stretched into the Uzumaki. Before the tsunami was completely frozen, the ice on the left and arm covering Haki appeared suddenly next to the pillar. Crack. With a click, the arm crushed the icicle directly, and the frozen tsunami was interrupted, and continued to fall towards Naval Headquarters Marineford. What? Boom. Rumble. The expression of Aokiji, who was interrupted and frozen, changed greatly. Seeing the overwhelming tsunami landed on the square, he rushed directly to the square with a scream. When Aokiji landed on the square, half of the marines on the square had already been swallowed by the seawater. He can only pump and continue to rush to the other side of the square where the seawater freezes. When everything returned to calm, an ice wall appeared in the middle of the square, and there were many marine soldiers inside. Aokiji tried to avoid it as much as possible, but he had to freeze part of the sea to stop the tsunami. All the marines that were not frozen were washed into the bay, and no one knew whether they were dead or alive, but less than half of the marines who came out and swam ashore were gone. The rest of them were gone, and they probably all sank to the bottom of the sea. Sengoku looked at the messy square, walked up to Aokiji, and asked with an ugly face, "Aokiji, what's the matter with you? It's not like you haven't been frozen in a tsunami of this level, how could you fail this time?" "Ah la la, Marshal Sengoku can't blame me. Someone just broke my icicle. When I realized it, the tsunami had already landed on the square." Aokiji's complexion was not good, and he was looking left and right, trying to find that person, but after observing for so long, he still found nothing. Gu la 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 la. Seeing Whitebeard, who suffered heavy casualties in Marine, he laughed and looked at Moran, who was aside, and said, "Moran, your ability is really pervert. Others don't know what's going on, but Whitebeard on the side can see clearly. Moran doesn't even move at such a distance, just stretching out his arms can stop Aokiji from freezing." Moran's face was dark, and he said in a speechless 0.3, "Whitebeard, you old monster, are you embarrassed to say that others are pervert?" Margao, who was standing on the deck behind him, also noticed Moran's attack just now, and secretly said with emotion, "It seems that a great helper has come." Whitebeard did not continue to argue with Moran. Now that the marine lineup is in chaos, it is a good opportunity to attack. He will not let go of this opportunity, and directly ordered, "Margot, pull the boat over, rush into the landing port, and rescue Ace. It's Dad." Brothers rushed to the harbor, "Save Ace. Ho 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 ho." The 4 ships rushed straight to the port quickly, and the captains commanded their subordinates to control the ships with a clear division of labor.